We're ready.
Today is Thursday, September 24th, year 2015. The time is 4:30. Let this meeting of the Tilton Board of Selectmen now come to order. Pat has stepped downstairs for a few minutes, and John Scanlon should be joining us in about 15-20 minutes. Why don't we do the minutes while we're waiting for Pat to come back up? She should be here momentarily.
Which minutes are you referring to?
I'm sorry, September 10th.
All right, I was just making sure. I got that one. She doesn't hear you.
No, I know, but we're just reading them for now. If we have corrections, we can do that. I have mixed feelings about that.
Does it depend whether it's an odd day or an even day?
No.
Or if the moon is in Aquarius?
Nah,
Just saying.
I'm not a lunatic. Moon doesn't affect me.
Need a wide brim hat? Shield you.
Something, well, they've hooked me up over here. On page 2, under the Clerk of the Works report, is that reported downstream fence thing actually the guardrail?
I think.
Say it again?
Downstream fence, isn't that the guardrail
Clerk of the Works.
running across the bridge? The bridge rail?
That's not a separate fence, that's the guardrail, right?
Bridge rail, isn't
Well,
it?
you know, when he talked about that, I thought he meant the fact that the far end was fenced off. I don't know.
Well, there's, chain link, I think, on the Northfield side. But
Yeah,
think
that's what I
it's-
thought he meant by the fence.
I'm thinking the bridge rail.
Well, the fence had
Could be.
been installed, and except for the paving, the pipe was finished.
Yeah.
So that would be a
we're just in
finishing
the
thing,
minutes
and
waiting
it's gotta
for
be
you.
the
I didn't
guardrail.
want to take Rick until you were here and kind of delaying for John. So we're just reading the minutes. And I haven't entertained a motion just so we could correct them. On page 1, in the second bullet, filed needs a D at the end of it.
Say what now?
Page 1, second bullet, file, F-I-L-E, should have a D at the end of it.
Oh, I see it twice with a D.
See? In the interim, Josue Casella has filed.
Okay.
The
Well, the
motion
other
didn't
ones
read.
had the D, so you weren't specific enough.
You're good.
Well, I said file. Needs a
I read
D.
it. You didn't say which sentence, so I'm reading it and seeing them all filed. Thought we were filed down.
Have the keys to Public Works been delivered to Town Hall yet? They have, thank you very much.
On page 3, that capital reserve fund has a different title, does it not? It's not the town roads repair and reconstruction. I think bridges is in that too, is it not?
I think it's roads and bridges.
So if we could just put the proper title.
On page
Page 3, number 2.
letters to the trustee. He gave us that quote. Tim gave us the quote to make the motion from.
I know, but the language at the top before the motion refers to the town roads repair and reconstruction.
Okay.
I'd just like it to be correct.
Yeah, it has to be.
There he is.
All right, now we're all here. Any more other changes or corrections or concerns?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of Thursday, September 20th as corrected.
Isn't it the 10th?
Yep.
September 10th, then.
Second.
Good catch.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Rip, sorry for making you wait a little bit. Thank you for, come on up. Joyce and I met with Rip a little earlier, and he suggests perhaps maybe he hang around and talk with us and go over some of the last minute things that are going on.
Turtle nesting ground, right?
What to discuss, I guess. Yeah, do you want me just to go, Pat?
Sure, go ahead.
So I think it's been a while since I've talked with the select people, selectmen here. And as you see, the Belknap Landscaping has been underway, finishing their part of the park. I don't know if you saw, the planting beds are pretty much all done. I think they look beautiful, but please stop by and look. A couple things that have occurred over the last couple weeks. One, you'll notice that there's a big trailer sitting in the middle of the parking lot near the planting beds. That was something that we had, I thought, working with the town seemed to make sense to let the contractor for the river trail be able to use that as a laydown area. It's actually, they have under contract to get done more at the end of October. That actually doesn't help us to get the planting beds in. So we decided just to go ahead with, doing as much work as we can around the trailer and letting the contractor basically finish the work right underneath their trailer once they're done. That is the way the arrangement is right now. I do actually want to propose that Belknap actually does a remobilization, and this was something that happened, I discussed with Belknap afterwards, after you left Pat, was having them do a remobilization to ensure that everything is done properly, and I just feel like letting Belknap leave, letting Lyman, finish things up, I just feel like that's just not, I trust Belknap, I'm not saying I don't trust Lyman, but they're our contractor, and I would rather have them propose, do a remobilization later to make sure everything is buttoned up and done properly to ours and to your satisfaction. So that's sort of one of the items. Another item is there was discussions or concern on the property boundary with Mr. Sullivan and some erosion. Just want to clarify that we will be loaming and seeding that, so once that seed is established, that shouldn't be a concern for erosion into the future in the long term. So that is, Belknap is planning on loaming and seeding that area.
Is that this season or next spring?
They'll be doing it actually possibly even next week, so the seeding will be done very, very quickly.
That's where the erosion was?
Yeah, right before and it's on that property boundary with Mr. Sullivan and where the trail goes across.
So That's the place.
Yeah, that's correct.
So there was a little bit of erosion with the,
Already, yeah.
But that hasn't been stabilized yet, so we feel once it's stabilized, that won't be an issue. But that also leads then to the other issues with the turtle nesting area and the sand, and so since that's not planned for seeding, that is a concern that we have when you look at it. It has shown some erosion. Belknap did add some additional sand there, but a concern that we have is without loaming and seeding that area, it's going to get continued erosion during heavy rainstorms. Talking with Pat and with Joyce and just with Chuck Mitchell, the turtles have been still nesting along that area in other areas, and so that is one of the things that I guess, and again, I wanted to propose that we do put loam and seed in that area, since we already know that the turtles are nesting in other areas along there, and it will help basically address potential long-term erosion concerns in that area.
It only makes
Sounds
sense.
logical to me.
Yeah, and so just the last thing
Rain's gonna wash
that I had is,
sand.
when you look at our plans, and then you,
Already washing them up.
the last area is the entrance to the parking lot.
Ocean stone.
When you look at, we basically have to keep the pavement that is along the road as part of the right-of-way with DOT. And so when you actually look at the way the plans were, we didn't really account for the survey that we had, didn't really have the pavement going in that far. And so if you were to lay out the parking lot actually goes right to the pavement. And so we're concerned that people are just going to go, basically go right, there's not going to be a formal entrance, it's just going to be the whole parking lot. And so what we're proposing, and obviously want to talk to you about, is our plans have and I don't know what the term is, but sort of like a fluting that goes to the entrance from the parking lot to basically go down in, so there's one small entrance for cars to go in and out. When you actually do that, we basically wound up losing a parking space, and so because the current parking spaces goes right up against where the pavement is, and so that is something that Belknap can put grass to basically have, a more narrow entrance, and put the split rail fence will come up to it to sort of prevent people from coming in, but we think that that's is a good change, but we do go from 10 parking spaces to 9 parking spaces in that.
You're talking about the asphalt that was part of the auto garage's entrance. Basically, it's because it's a large apron of asphalt.
Right, but it's also in the right-of-way owned by the town, by the state.
But the state doesn't want cars parking along Route 3.
Right.
So if anybody asks District 3, they may not object to us removing that if that's the issue.
Right.
Because it's an invitation, whether we flute or narrow our mouth, with that asphalt sitting next to the fence, people are going to park there.
Even if you have
It will be the entrance to the parking lot, though.
It'll be beside it. If we don't remove that asphalt that's on either side of what would be the entrance, I mean,
yeah.
The Conservation Commission has commented that there's a lot of parking spaces, so I don't think they're concerned about losing one.
Right.
That's what I thought.
But I still think, we're going to have issues with people parking along Route 3 anyway. Actually, the state is, it's their road. But I think that's going to be a written invitation if we don't remove that asphalt.
But why is it not okay to park in front of the park Salmon Run, but in front of Mr. Sullivan's you can? You've got more space in front
Right.
of the two parks.
Right.
It's safer to park
No,
there.
we're not gonna let them park in front of that.
No,
But she's saying it's an invitation to, because it's already paved. It looks like a parking lot.
it just seems like if we have an
Well, it's a
opportunity.
shoulder area.
And DOT allows us, we should, if we have the money.
Right, well, we don't, that's the thing, we don't have the
But it's
money,
also
and there's a
wide enough
couple
to
of these.
park.
Oh, then let's
And with
not.
the concerts at the park.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Route 3, that's really an issue for DOT. He may be parking there illegally. He probably doesn't have parking along Route 3.
And
Originally,
that would be state police enforcement then, right? It's their road.
Yeah.
So why are we putting all our signs up there?
We
Our
still give
expense.
out tickets
Part of the
on Route
agreement
3.
with the state.
We still have enforcement power on Route 3.
But whether somebody has parking rights along Route 3 isn't our business.
Oh, no. As long as they don't
It is a
park in
good
front of the
point.
park.
It's a short, so,
Double standard.
Originally, the Conservation Commission only wanted
in front of the
8
park,
spaces.
Sullivan.
We were putting in 10. It's going to go to 9.
Put some rocks.
Yeah,
it includes still the 2 handicap spots are still there.
yeah.
If we leave that pavement, and are you talking about leaving the whole front end open?
No,
No.
so what we would do is, so the pavement literally goes about this way when you look on our plan. And so we would eliminate one space so that this part would be like this going to it. So you would still have some landscaped areas here. And so this, like, sort of, neck, or was what I'm calling the fluting,
So it's
is
just
just going to be moved
move
up
back a
because the
little bit.
pavement is actually up further, is what we're proposing, and we would lose one space.
And were we going to put some boulders down too?
Well, we would look at it, we can put boulders here, but also the split rail fence is going to be going up to that area also. And then there was some talk about trying to put either I don't know if it's 2 bollards, and that way you can put something across it if you had to close off the park, but that's not in our budget. And so, which leads to the next thing is some of these, we're sort of out of our contingency right now, and what I'm proposing is to talk to CRDC to see if there's some additional funds that can help. So where we're looking at is the additional loam and seed for here, if you want to put the bollards and the close off here, and if we remobilize Belknap to come back, that'll cover their costs. And I would propose, or I guess where I'm guessing, and I need to get costs from Belknap, is asking, we think it's going to be about $6,000 for everything. And just to be upfront, our oversight costs, we haven't billed you in a while, we're actually very far over on that budget, and we'd like to recover some of that cost too.
What's the chances of getting it from CDC?
Well, I think we'll know tomorrow, and if they have it, I think we can get it. I mean, again, I'm saying we think it's 6, I think we'll ask for 10,000, and I think it's small, it's a small compared to the amount of money that they're trying to, that they have right now. But again, I don't want to commit, I can't speak for them, I don't know what their priorities are, even though we work for them, it's their funds, I don't know how much they might have subgranted, there is certain limits on subgranting that they have, so again, I can't speak for CRDC, but I think it's at least worth asking them for it, because it would help make sure that these final details are getting done. It's been, making sure that Belknap is coming back afterwards, because they're the ones who really, we want them to sort of own the project, and
Yep.
we think it's the best approach moving forward.
Can't hurt to ask.
They didn't plan for the pavement being there? Because, it's always been there. When they did the original plans and
Right.
bids and everything on it, they should have seen that.
It's one of those things, and I'm involved in the project, and, when you get plans, it's not knowing where this is and where the edge of the pavement is, you sort of you lose that perspective on things, and where the edge of this road is, I think we always envisioned that was the edge of the pavement, and it really wasn't. There was additional pavement here that wasn't on our survey, that we the base survey that we used. And so that's where the difference really comes from.
What do you think, Bud?
Do we have an estimate on the remote?
Well, I'll have it tomorrow, but again, I'm thinking all in, and again, this is just a budget, we're talking around $6,000 for everything. So,
And what happens if they say no?
we would have to, talk to Belknap and, come up with I guess, a plan B on how to, with the stuff we have, letting Lyman still finish up, because they would get some savings of not having to, if they're not remobbing, if they're not having to address certain areas, we might be able to get them to apply that and negotiate with them to provide the loaming and the seeding.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
I said, oh, okay, I see where you're going with that.
We'd have to negotiate, but I still think when all is said and done, we could be, it's, I shouldn't say risky, but you might have more finger pointing if something's not done right at the end.
Right. I agree with you.
Do you think?
Well, and also, I can see Belknap's point and Rip's point, because when this is all said and done, we want to make sure that the grading of that area, that whole area is sloping towards the river. and that all those planting beds and the loaming and seeding has stabilized, because we want to hold them accountable for that.
Isn't there like a 1 year, whatever, on any plantings? Grass and plants?
Yeah, I'm not, I'd have to go back and look, to be honest. I don't know if
I
there
can't
is.
imagine a
I think we
contract that
did.
wouldn't have one.
Of that.
'Cause otherwise, I do the perennial rye, annual rye. Looks great the first year.
Yeah.
That's the old contractor trick.
Who's taking care of the plants they just put in? Are they being watered, John?
Belknap watered them this afternoon while we were there.
Belknap waters them? Like, we're watering the grass and wildflowers now.
Yeah, we'll probably,
I see you got that all set up.
If there is a warranty, if you will, on those plants, it would seem to me it would be Belknap's responsibility to keep
Yes.
them watered, not the towns. And if we start watering them, because you can overwater.
Right.
Up to your
I asked
warranty.
him that, and he said there is no watering plan with Belknap.
But who's guaranteeing those plantings?
They,
So I asked him to make
I
sure
would
that
hope
he
that was
gave
in the
us-
contract.
Yeah, and just to be upfront, I don't think long-term the watering is not in their contract to continue to come back to ensure that it's watered. I know, working with the Conservation Commission, and there's times with, we still need to show in-kind services, and when we sort of talked about this up front,
Right.
trying to get the town to do as much things as possible. Obviously, if you are requiring them to come and water, there is a cost associated
Right.
with it, which the town did not incur that cost.
right.
And we had said that with CRDC, that there would be some in-kind match
Right.
for that CRDC money as well.
is it
Right.
still open for in-kind matches?
Oh, yeah.
We still have to show, so the
Oh,
EPA
yeah.
grant has a 10% that was approved? Or was
10%.
A 10% match on the 200,000, so the town has to show $20,000 of in-kind
Yes.
services
And
as
we're-
part of the project.
Yeah, we're way over that, especially with the time that you and Chuck and Kathy put in. Chuck owes me a sheet, a breakdown of his time, and if you have anything, and Ken that hasn't had much, and then I keep track of my time on it, so no, we have more than enough. And then now we get to include the water company's donation. The loom alone that we got from Tilton School and the town forces that trucked all that, that was a good chunk of change
Yeah.
in kind. And even today, with the town, they hauled 4 loads of gravel for Belknap Landscape. We didn't pay for the gravel, all it was the town trucks and labor and gas going to Pikes. So I'll get a price on that, and that will count towards it.
So if we did more in-kind work, it would free up some more money to complete other things, or? Or
was
is it just-
It bolsters our request
To CRDC.
to
To get
CRDC
extra,
to
yeah.
know that we're committed and, the town's got skin in this.
Okay. Thanks, Peter.
Everybody all set with questions and go forward the way Rick was saying?
I would say the way Rip was saying. We'll have to deal with that pavement issue, Catherine, but that's a separate thing.
Yeah, I'd
Are we going
like to
state
keep
board
the
down?
parking space and do it as the plan was, and see, there's no way we could put some silt fencing or build this up, or is it just eroding now because we don't have any grass growing there? Because things will erode more.
Right,
Then
so this
eliminate
area is not planned to have grass on it. It was
Yeah.
just sand, so that was, and so it is on the slope and going down, and so that will continue in the long run, is what we're saying.
The only thing that's kept that sand from going in the river is the silt fence, and then after those last rainstorms, Belknap went in and put the green mesh rolls to keep the water from washing it off. The other thing they pointed out was that, because they had put more sand further upstream to make that larger, and that's all grown over with crabgrass. So to keep that crabgrass out of that, someone would have to be maintaining it. And whereas the turtles already have migrated and found another nice little spot to nest, that also is a little further out of the walkway, and people traveling by that go ahead and loam and seed that.
And we can mark the turtle area do not disturb when they,
Did they
go over.
talk to the Conservation Commission?
We tried all day to get
Tried all
them.
day and last night to get in touch with Chuck.
It's still technically, the property's still technically in the control of the selectmen, so let's not delay the project.
And also, I mean, it's an erosion, and it's going to
Right.
get worse when everything is properly sloped that way.
One other thing I'll just, I do think it's important to, to let the Conservation Commission know, if he wants to meet, I actually will be in Manchester tomorrow, early afternoon, and if he wants to meet, again, I can come up here if he wants. Obviously, if he's okay with everything on a Friday afternoon, I'd rather not come up.
I feel bad because he's been there just about every day.
Yeah.
And so the one day, like, oh, God,
It's always the case.
They've been such good stewards.
all right, so we're good to go?
We're good.
Right.
So you'll
Appreciate you hanging out.
Belknap?
Well, we need to get the money
Yeah.
first, so I'd rather talk, and actually, are you in tomorrow?
All day?
So maybe if we can, I think the request should come from you
Okay,
to CRDC, is I think would be the best.
okay. I can do that.
So if there's no monies, we'll be talking about this again.
Well, it'll just be a matter of renegotiating for what we can, and then talking to the Conservation Commission. Because the split rail fence and the bollards and all that, that's all been after the fact. And we tried to work that into whatever monies we had with the grant. The way we were able to pay for the stockade fence was they cut back on some of the plantings and lowered the height of the fence.
I thought the Conservation Commission, this is for the fence that's on Ernie's, not Salmon
Right.
Run.
Right, yeah, they paid for the one on Salmon.
Salmon Run, okay.
And the plan was then just looked nice.
Just extend it.
to extend it. And Rip had said, well,
Only
we
makes
have money
sense.
through the CRDC grant, but now it's kind of all being,
I'd like to see it extended.
Well, let's see what happens tomorrow.
Right, and so just from Belknap's, they think they're going to be finishing up what they can, actually, either probably Monday is when, so things are happening pretty quickly, so we do need to get things resolved pretty quickly.
So you'll let us know tomorrow.
yeah, and then
Okay.
we have to let Quantum know so that Lyman will be off the hook. But feel much more comfortable with your plan, and I'm praying right now that
Yeah.
it happens.
What time are you in tomorrow?
8:30.
Can you call me, 'cause I have a 9 o'clock meeting, but if you can call me at 8:30, that would be great on my cell.
Okay,
And
and
then we can,
I'm just going to call Liz and,
well, why don't we talk on what actually, if you just want to talk, yeah, that'd be great.
so I'll
Call Liz. Call me first, though.
Call you first and then call Liz, okay. Will do.
Great. Well, I do feel like we're getting very close to the end, and
Yep.
it's starting to look nice, so I'm
Grand
pretty
opening is in
excited.
our sight.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You think so?
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks. All right,
New England with substance.
I'm putting this in the bottom drawer where our plans are for the trail.
yep,
Paid today. Paid tomorrow. Alright,
got it.
cash or transfer purchase,
All right.
and it's gonna come from Tom's.
You know, Joyce, instead of calling that area Ernie's, I might start referring to it as Fullweiler Park.
Okay.
Nobody's worked harder
All right,
than
thank
you
you.
have
No,
on
you
that.
know who's been there? Chuck Mitchell, Chuck and Kathy. Oh, yeah.
All right, Johnny.
Oh, I know they've
We've changed our scheduling around quite a bit. I'll fill you in a non-public later. On some of it.
We wait with bated breath.
I bet you do.
That's funny.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
So according to the Echo article I read, you're now Mr. Tassel?
Could be. It wouldn't be the first time. Well, guess I can start with, I got a draft of the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have a copy of it.
Now, this is just a draft. A lot of them don't necessarily need to change because the history and so on and so forth supports them being as they are. Some of them, I tried to put notes down the side so that you would be able to see where I was coming from. As to why I would leave a little bit extra in there, like for example, the fuel prices they're still changing a lot up and down. You're better off to have some in there. Hopefully we have a lot left over, but I'd rather,
We have a contract price.
I'm
You'll be
used
all
to
right.
thinking of it in terms of,
You're not buying it down here anymore.
no, I haven't been for a while
No,
now. I
you
just haven't
haven't.
got it out of my head.
No, the price we've got is pretty well locked in. At least through July 1st of next year. What happens then, God knows.
True.
Could be less, could be more.
So the price locked in, how does it compare to the current prices? Because you locked in
We locked in a contract price through the school district.
right. But when did we do it?
It commences with July 1st.
So back
it
then,
runs from
fuel
the-
was higher than it is now.
It is. Right now, we're paying more than you would at the pump. But tomorrow, that could change drastically, you know? And
I
we're
know.
paying significantly less than we did last year by, how many percent, Joyce? 25%, 30% less?
When you sign into contracts, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Oh, no,
You know.
And all the time we've done the underground storage tank, out of that time, 2 years, we paid higher.
Yeah.
But we've scored every other time. And you can build your budget around a contracted price. That's
Exactly. That makes
That's
it
a
nice.
theory, right?
So I got a question for the board, since Johnny's new. Highway advertising. When we do projects, we don't advertise for them? Any paving projects, no advertisement?
We should be.
We can.
Well, I'm just looking.
We send it out
2013,
to,
nothing, 2014, there is in 2015.
We've been RFPing
We've
it,
been doing the RFPs and then
But not-
sending them out.
not
on
sending
that.
them out in the paper.
Right. And putting it on the
Well, the problem
website.
with the RFP is when we choose just three.
We don't choose just three, we have a whole list.
It is much more
The paving bid was
selective.
how many contractors? Three
Yeah,
or
but-
four?
3 or
But we-
4.
But that's a big contract.
We send to a lot more than respond.
Okay. All I've ever seen on those bid openings is 3, maybe 4.
That's all that respond.
Right.
Well, I'd like to see...
Advertising would get more people to bid. It would reach more
Well, I'd like to
people.
see the list of who was asked, because I'm sure we're missing a lot when we selectively choose.
I think we should readdress the line.
The
Get
trend
some
in the last 4 or 5 years is they
Get some more
haven't
information.
responded. And,
Every time I ask, these things get, like, the roof on everybody who does roofing is getting a proposal. And those that respond, and those that don't. As
I've
far as I
never-
know, all of them are getting,
I've never seen a list of who's the RFPs are sent to.
don't we have a
And how does that get updated? How often?
I don't know.
list
It
for
might be,
wetlands guys and roofing guys and
Well,
electricians?
that's why I don't know how
Joyce
much...
keeps a list of people that we send out our RFPs to.
I got a list from Joyce and Dennis for tree people, for example, and the list I had was double the number.
Well, then we need to
That's just an
attack that
example.
Well,
listing.
then you need to communicate that with her and just
And I
update
don't
it.
know if, like, the Dodge Report and some of those publications are worth investigating for some of the bigger projects that go out to all contractors.
Where you left copious files down there.
I can look for it.
That's it.
I haven't
See
seen
if
that one.
there is a list.
Yeah.
for contractors for the various paving.
Yeah, I just
It's
wrote it
done
down.
down.
Joyce, you have that as well, correct?
Which one?
Paving,
The paving list?
yep.
No, I don't have the paving, not in Dennis, no.
Street sweepers, all that.
Street
stuff.
sweeper, all that?
That would be interesting.
Street sweeping I do, but I don't have the full paving.
Okay.
So we might want to tweak that for,
Well, you got a
Add
lot,
some
I think you got a lot more
advertising.
paving contractors than you do street sweepers.
Actually, you probably do.
Only 2 or 3.
Oh, you definitely do.
And you
So
got,
we do that. We'll move forward in that
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, we can talk about this when the time comes. too.
Okay.
One of the things I didn't change, let me see if I can find it here, was part-time wages. And I wanted to discuss that with you guys. I do have some thoughts on part-time summer help or even some part-time people to consider as we go forward in our budget process. The highway department spends, from all that I can understand, a considerable amount of time during the summer months mowing the cemeteries. And it's very hard to get anything accomplished in the 2 days left out of the week, because mowing could be anywhere from 2 to 3 days in the height of the season, a week, just mowing. And I talked to Kathy about it. I would like to go see the Parks Commission. I haven't got the final numbers from Tim yet, but the town spends a considerable amount in private contractors doing the parks too. And I know that in the past, the highway department used to hire summer help to do the parks and cemeteries. I wouldn't be opposed to trying that again. I wouldn't be necessarily looking for just somebody out of, let's say, high school or something, because they have a very short window. I wouldn't be opposed to it either, depending on the person, but I would rather get somebody who could stay a little bit longer in the summertime and allow the crew to be on more projects. I think there's a lot of projects out there that need addressing. For example, like the Westwood project, it's turned into a project after what we got in there and discovered, and I'll address that with you guys tonight. That's just one example. So, yeah, this is just a
I had
draft.
a question about that. So there's money in the parks budget because previously they've had to do all their own things. So basically, we could take some of the money out of that that's used for the parks and
It would
switch
just
it
be
over.
shifting the
Start
money and-
shifting it over.
well,
Bring
you've
it
got
back to
some,
town.
but I don't get paid for doing 132.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be taking any money out of the park commissioner's budget because
Well,
there's
you
no
got the
money
other-
Not for that.
spent. There's no money spent for mowing on the 132 ball field, and I believe the bid for that was, I can look it up, was around 4,000?
132?
Yeah,
No, I was thinking 2 to 3 range.
no?
I don't know.
Riverfront Park, we hire somebody to mow it, right?
And I would suggest you
So
hire...
that would be a park.
I would suggest you probably keep the person doing Riverfront Park because it's a very high-maintenance park.
I'm talking about mowing.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the mowing.
So's Johnny,
There's
apparently.
a lot of mowing that needs to be done there.
Yeah, and there's probably various other things that they could do. They
Well,
can't do the water, oh God, the sprinkler
Water.
system and that
If we
stuff.
do
Separate
that,
contract.
Yeah, yeah.
if we do that, then we need to have a discussion with the Parks Department to
If-
put Parks Department back over to a department
If you
in the
don't
town.
have a landscaper doing Riverfront Park, then you won't have somebody weeding Riverfront Park. I don't think I can see our public work guys in that park weeding 2 or 3 times a month.
The-
And doing
Well,
all
that-
the other things that
What does Mr. Rushlow do over there? Or that position, I should say.
he doesn't do,
He doesn't
weeding
weed.
of the beds. He does
He does
he
some
treats
weeding.
the invasives, he does a lot of work around the pavilion, he sprays the weeds, like I said, herbicides, the weeds between the bricks, a lot of things like that. And the only thing
We
is-
can't spray.
Could we get a survey of, what mowing gets done between the parks and what mowing gets done by the public works and approximately how long it takes average for each one, and then we can look at, let's say we do hire somebody at 32 hours a week, does that come out, that they could do that, all of it? I mean, we have now in the town,
But what Catherine is saying, and I think Peter's going to allude to it as well, they don't want Highway to do Riverfront because it's too high maintenance, and Johnny
Right.
had said that as well.
when I'm also, along with the mowing, and depending on how long it takes, you could have enough leftover hours that you have this part-time person that can weed the beds, and he's under direct observation of the
We
Public Works
tried that once
Department.
before, it didn't work with a part-time guy, it was a nightmare.
Currently, they're taking 3 days a week for 2 guys,
2 to 3 days a week.
2 to 3 days a week. You throw on the parks, it's going to be 2 guys
This
at
just one
least a
park,
week.
right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Did just one park that's mowed?
Well, if they take
No, it's
130,
If they take
Buffalo,
Buffalo, Vest Pocket, the
Vest-
Winter Street one,
Civil War,
or
and
and
then
132.
And
So
that's
that's one
done
guy
by
a
the
week.
parks,
Yes.
and that's by a separate contractor?
yep.
So there's money
Yeah,
in the
except
budget
for
for that?
132,
In
yes.
the parks budget?
We took 132 out of that budget,
And Peter's been doing that.
and Peter's been doing it without remuneration. 2 years, 3 years?
we can't count on that.
Well,
Heaven
what- I
forbid
was
you
just-
should break your leg, but now,
And the fact is he shouldn't be doing it for free, but he does as a
I understand
volunteer,
that.
out of the kindness of his heart.
if we brought the X-Mark over, we could have races.
There you go.
Twice as
But-
fast.
That's it.
There's a lot of discussion, as you
Yeah.
can see, that needs to take place
Yeah, so,
to
that-
formulate a plan.
so as we go along in our process, I would like you guys to think about some of those things, and
I
I'll bring
like the
up,
concept.
suggestions.
I'm sure we can
Been
get
going over some of it
stuff.
with Tim, as far as like the freight line that we've always had in here. Freight to me is a part of the part. If I'm buying a part that costs me $10 down the street, or I can buy it for $8 cross-country, but it costs me 10 more to send it, then you didn't save any money. So consider that if you have to
Right.
pay freight, a part of the
Sure.
part. So, things like that. So, yeah, look over the budget, if you want, now or later. And if there's anything else, I would be more than happy to talk to you guys about some projects that I would like to do in the future.
I have a comment on the street lighting. That's the money we send to PSNH for them to have, for us to have street lights. Did you go over that with Tim, and did he look at the list of lights that PSNH is going to eliminate in the town of Tilton? And I think some of those we do pay for.
You're talking about the ones for the state?
Along Route 3.
Yeah, I haven't gone over it with him yet. And the only ones, that, as far as I can tell by reading that, I will go over it with them, is those are the ones that the state currently pays for. They're looking to cancel the ones that they're,
Not all of them,
no?
no.
Well, they can't cancel ours if we're paying for them, I wouldn't think, because part of the letter was if the town wanted to take them over for whatever reason, we wanted that lighting.
Yeah.
Say we have sidewalks or whatever it may be.
I haven't looked at the list, but I know when I looked at it before, I can't find my list, but there were a couple that I thought were on the list. There were some that I thought were on that list that they actually bill us for, which I thought was interesting. But we'll have to, I'm just saying, we need to make sure.
No, definitely, I'm gonna mark a notation here.
And why is the recycling going up? And I thought the recycling line was going down.
I kept it the same because of the trend, because in 2012, let me see how far it's, 2013, it was up to 10,000, but money spent was 83, and then went down last year to
Because we started
67.5. I
curbside.
just haven't been here long enough to
Oh,
We
see
started
that.
curbside, and we did away with some of the trailers and dumpsters we had.
Yeah, we
So
only have a
I'm
small.
thinking we probably can cut that a little bit.
Okay,
I'm thinking. All the stuff that used to go to the recycling down there, newspapers, we had a newspaper thing and a plastic thing and a cardboard thing, well, all of those things are gone.
Right.
And instead of paying for those things down there, we're doing it curbside now. So I don't know how much to lower it, but
Well, for so far this year, we've spent $3,477. And obviously, we're more than halfway through the year. I would be
I'd go,
comfortable to take at least 2 out of that.
yeah,
I would
I would go to 7,200 where you were
Okay.
back in.
Yeah.
I think that's even
use
probably higher than we
38%.
actually need.
Yeah, and then
Just
we can...
thinking.
And we
But
can,
you might research exactly what comes out. There might be something that comes out of there that we're not considering right offhand. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
well, there are some things that come out of there. Let me see. We do have televisions and electronics. and
well, there
stuff
you
that come
go,
out
and
of it.
batteries, and hopefully tires. Hopefully they're bringing them down there more than
And you-
throwing them out in the wood.
And your TVs, I think we still have the trend of going from the old style to the newer
Yeah,
LEDs,
so you're
so...
gonna keep those
a few more years.
giant clunkers that you can't give away now.
Well,
And I haven't met to discuss the tires yet. We were
and
waiting.
I don't think that's going to be...
So
a
sometime
hard-
next week,
Yeah.
just give me a call.
So taking at least $2,000 out of there, I would think.
Okay.
Now, I see sidewalks at 9,000, but when I look at what's expended, I don't see much. Are we planning to do sidewalks?
We met with, Dennis actually set up, he called a couple contractors, and Porter Paving was the one that came out, but he called, I think it was GMI. They never responded. But we met with Porter yesterday, and he promised us to get us a list, or a quote, estimated quote, as soon as he possibly can. We went around from the front of the building here, where the onion starts, all the way around up to the bridge, and then back down along the other side to the intersection. And that's another thing I'd like to talk to you guys about. There is a lot of sidewalks that needs to be taken care of. For example, somebody mentioned it to me, I don't remember who it
I
was. Was it you about the one up to Park Street, between Park Street and the mill? Looks pretty
Winter
rough.
Street is really rough.
Winter
Lots of
Street
these
is
things
rough.
are
Any of them
extremely
heading to the
rough.
high school?
Winter Street
Yeah.
is horrible.
West Main is horrific in a number of places. And that's traveled, highly traveled every day in the
Right.
street.
But doesn't that come under the repair, the monies that we have for road repair and,
I don't know, I'd have to look and see how it's worded.
Why would sidewalks come out of road repair?
Depends on how, because
the fund
bridges
that we
do.
put away each
Well, it
year.
depends, because if it was
Depends what it
roads
was
and
listed
bridges,
as.
you may have worded yourself out of it.
We've got a sidewalk construction fund. We put
Right.
$21,000 in the last 3 years. We've spent $3,500. Now,
There's a construction fund for it.
the
I don't know.
sidewalk construction, not a fund. That's the
line
wrong
item.
word. We have a
Talking about
line
raising and appropriating.
on the budget.
Oh,
We've
okay.
appropriated $21,000 and spent $3,500.
But if we're going forward in this, and we know,
Right.
we've recognized, and obviously there's some major concerns for sidewalks in the town, and I totally agree with that. And over the next 5 years, if we took a major project each year and put monies in a fund each year for that project, I mean, instead of raising and appropriate, we should really look forward and put these monies aside so that we have them and start getting some of these sidewalks taken care of. I don't, right now, we're
Raised and appropriated?
The money is raised and appropriated.
raising appropriate, but, I mean, you're gonna,
It's not dedicated. And therein lies the problem. Why are we talking about appropriating $9,000 if we're not even spending that? Not even close.
well,
I
We
plan,
haven't
that's why
done
they're in
sidewalks
such terrible
in 10
shape.
years.
I agree.
And Johnny's going forward, he's
planning
assessing
on
the
it.
issue, and he's
Right,
planning
he's-
on taking,
Okay, all right, I'm
being
gonna,
aggressive in it.
Yeah.
we're still in the honeymoon, John.
I
Quite frankly, if you're gonna work on those sidewalks and spend that money, then I'm all for it.
absolutely. There's some that very desperately need it, because You know, somebody's gonna get hurt. I'm afraid somebody's gonna get hurt.
They already have.
Yeah.
That's why he's
And-
also looking to get part-time help to free up time with his folks.
So
Okay.
that the guys can go and do that
I think
work.
if we're going to do sections of sidewalk like this one, it should go all the way down to,
Cumberland's, Mechanic Street.
Yeah, they already got the bid, waiting for
Street.
bid now coming
well,
out for
It's a
this.
separate
they should
issue
add
from
to it
this budget.
because
Well,
All the
whatever,
way to
I
where?
don't think your $9,000 is gonna
No,
cover
I think
what we
she's a
already
grand.
talked about. I really don't think that's
No,
gonna.
but you're getting a bid on this section of sidewalk, but it's incomplete if we don't go down to the next street. at least.
And I'll use that bid too to help in future planning.
Go phases.
To be honest with you,
200 feet? I mean, not even
Right.
200 feet, what is it, 100 feet?
You're
from
saying to go to
there?
Cumbies or Grants?
Grants.
That's
Cumbies.
more than
That's more than
200
200
feet.
From the edge of Onions?
From the edge of Onions to
Grant Street?
Grant Street?
Whatever it is. It's just a tiny little section in the world of contractors doing sidewalk.
Let's talk about
well, in
this
some
one.
sections too, if we're gonna hire contractors, I wouldn't recommend it for right here around the town hall, but when we're out and about, as far as sidewalks go, we could save a lot of money if the highway department rips it up. If we have it set up so that we have a contractor coming in,
We just coordinate with them.
we can rip it up. I wouldn't recommend it out here because we're close to buildings, we're working with a
And you
backhoe.
have to, out here, you have to reposition curbing.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we purchased a roller for doing sidewalks. Actual,
We have a roller, and,
not a hand roller, but a
One
riding.
ton, 1 ton.
We have a roller.
oh, yeah, we have a heavy roller, and we
Yeah.
use it on the roads too, and we could be used on the
You know,
sidewalks.
if any of
Is
that.
it a 1 or a 3 to 5, Johnny?
What's that?
Is it a 1 ton or a 3 to 5?
I think it's a 1 ton. It's
smaller.
not huge.
Okay.
Might be a 3 to 5, but I'll double check it.
I think it's a one.
I think it's a one.
But,
I'm just saying, when we
They
do
have as much
sidewalks,
or
we
more
should do
pressure than the
complete
bigger ones.
sections.
Yeah.
I agree.
Instead of doing a patch, and then next year come back and finish the other section. We should, if we're gonna section it, then
Go from one road to the next
do
road.
that from there to
Or
there,
break.
and then from there to there.
I think we have some serious talking about
But I-
with the budget on this.
I think,
Yeah.
um,
There's other lines here I'd like to
I
talk
think we'd
about,
be
though.
very interested in a plan from you on repairing these sidewalks.
Yep.
Because I would,
We can investigate whether or not they're in that.
because I do want to
reserve
fix
fund.
the damaged areas, but I would really love to give the town a real facelift as far as the busy section here. I would love to do Main Street, and do almost like a beautification type thing. But that would all be contractor work, and it would not come cheaply.
Right.
But imagine if all the sidewalks were done, no, very little, eventually they're gonna crack and stuff. But you treat them just like you do, roads. You might have to crack seal and so on and so forth to try to make them last longer, but just bounce it around in your heads for a while.
All right,
I'm looking for
John,
the children first.
But yeah, no.
Heavily
just-
traveled ones to any of the schools.
absolutely, I agree with you. Joe has a couple questions on
Waiting patiently.
the budget, and then we're going to go forward on his other report.
Okay.
Because this is just a framework now.
I understand that, but I wanted to make sure I understand that
I
he
got you.
understands why these lines are like they are.
Yeah?
$1,000 update safety equipment. What safety equipment are you going to update? Is that your sign packages, new hard hats?
Sign
What is it?
packages, hard hats,
Yes.
we should be working with a 6 sign package.
Do we
So-
have stop slow paddles?
I haven't currently seen
Some of those
those.
new ones with the LED lights,
Oh, yeah.
the lights, I don't know if you've seen them, DOT
Bling.
has some. They do get your attention.
Yeah.
All your vests and whatnot are good,
That-
right?
that's all normal.
Is that the line that pays for the boots that the guys get reimbursed for?
I
Are
haven't-
those safety equipment?
that likes bling, please do not teach, Johnny.
I want to know, we buy them boots periodically with steel toes. Is
think you
that the
buy,
line it comes out of?
$100 a year.
Okay.
That is the line.
That's the line, the
and like I
boots
s-
come out and it's $200 a year. You may want to increase your line then. Although, I guess no one needed boots this year.
They're only bought.
Gara's still young.
Oh, I just bought a pair of boots, and I buy Red Wing boots,
Yeah,
and they've lasted,
and
last
that's
time I
the
got them
thing.
was the first time I got
You
them.
get good boots, they last for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah,
Not in
it's-
concrete.
Okay,
No,
well,
concrete doesn't
luckily, we
matter what
don't
kind
do
of boot.
concrete here. Okay, so,
Oil.
the next one I'm checking out is residential solid waste. As you can see, it has dropped precipitously over the last couple of years, and that's the tonnage that we're bringing to the incinerator down there.
Right.
So if you extrapolate these figures, I don't see us going a whole heck of a lot over that for residential solid waste. So we're not going to spend 52 grand this year, but we've got 52 grand on the request. Something to think about, because you can see that we only spent 42 grand at the first part of the year when we were doing it, and so we lowered it to 52. Well, what are we looking at, 25? 30 maybe?
What are your numbers
No,
through? Was that through at the end of August, mid-September, for the current
numbers-
year?
The current year is
August.
Year
And it'd still bring it to
Okay.
30,000, not
Oh,
52,000.
it's 2/3 of the year.
Okay, so that, we're talking, maybe if you haven't got all of the figures back yet,
Right.
30 grand, not 52.
No.
I want to raise every penny you need, and I don't want to raise a single cent that you don't. That's all.
Understandable.
Joyce, hold on a minute, hold on. Joyce,
Couple of things. Now that Wheelabrator's doing all of the billing, there've been some glitches with their billing system. So we may be a bit behind in the billing. I don't know, is that, I just remember Tim telling me
Yeah.
that it's a real hassle, so that may not be a
Like I say, I don't know if everything's been applied yet, but that's something to watch out for
And
on that
also-
one.
And also, we're going to get a new contract next year.
Yeah.
We'll know by the end of December or first part of January. I think that in the RFP, it says that the selectmen will make their decision by the first week in January. So you'll have a firm figure. in time.
Unless they do away with recycling in this process, the amount of tonnage we take to the incinerator is not going to go up because we're getting a new contract.
Could.
We have a contract. It's only so much per pound, and unless all of a sudden everybody stops recycling, which means no curbside
I
contract.
mean, all those people that are bringing their trash to the communities?
Yeah, all of a sudden they're going to change their entire lives, so our line will go up.
Well, they might get busted. Those are the communities.
I don't want to raise any more than we have to.
Does that number include the commercial that
No,
goes down there?
commercial's a separate line.
Line.
It's a- it's a
And we're
separate-
reimbursed for that.
Reimbursed.
yeah,
We're reimbursed penny for penny for that.
So that's under the commercial solid waste line.
Is our fee such that we are being reimbursed for that penny for penny, Joyce?
Actually, it's more than penny for
We
penny.
raised it, I just don't remember when.
Because there's a service charge on that.
I don't remember how much. For a while, we were losing that one.
all right, so we'll keep our eye on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Uniforms, did you order your uniforms?
I haven't ordered them yet. I missed the guy this week.
Okay.
I was out, but as soon as I catch up with him, I'll order. Is it okay with me to wear blue jeans? Just with
don't
the
see
shirt
any.
and stuff?
I noticed Arthur wasn't wearing a regulation shirt
Yeah.
today, too. I would hate to see our standards.
We don't have a dress code, as long as you look neat.
I'd hate to see our standards start to slip. I kind of like the uniform look of the highway
We
department.
don't have.
But we're purchasing
Give them
uniforms.
shirts that
They
say
have a
Town of
shirt.
Tilton.
But he
Town
wears,
of Tilton, I want, whatever he wears, I want it to say Town of Tilton.
We're talking about Arthur,
That's
doesn't
all.
wear the Town of Tilton one. He wears just a regular
We're
T-shirt.
not going
we
to do
don't
the
have a
old
dress
hike
code.
way,
We don't have a dress
colored
code.
chinos to differentiate what level you're at?
No dress code, nor.
I'd just like it to
That's
say
fine.
Tilton on it
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'll
We're
we'll
good with
order
that.
those. And
Just order the shirt which says Town of Tilton.
I actually would have changed one, but I just haven't made it home yet. Yeah, is there anything else? This is all good stuff, Joe. I like you bringing it up.
$2,500 to rent a chipper. We haven't spent more than $850 in any year for the last 3 years. We've appropriated $6,000. Now, over those same 3 years, are we going to really spend that money?
Yes, I would actually like to talk to you guys as we go through the process budget, because this is a draft, about renting the chipper more often, because there's a lot that we can cut back in the intersections and so on and so forth, that we could actually use the chipper on the road.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to invest in one instead of renting then?
It may be.
Ultimately, if you're really going to use it.
Yeah, I plan on really using it.
And then maybe use that as bartering with other towns to share different equipment.
We can. I mean, I can
Look at a
see-
regionalization approach. That's a shaky
Who
head
broke
back
it, though?
there.
It gets pretty sticky, because a lot of people are like, all right, let's say Tilton and Samberton, for instance, bought a chipper together. All right, well, we set up the schedule, which is minor, but what if it breaks down in Samberton? Whose bill is that? What if it left Tilton and Samberton just got it and just started it up, used it for 20 minutes and it broke?
I'd say you
Who's-
split it.
Those kind of
50-50.
stuff that starts to get
Set
very...
it up as 50/50,
Yeah, I
that way
think,
there's no finger pointing.
I agree with you.
Well,
that
if they jam a 10-inch log into a chipper that's only designed for a 6-inch.
That's negligence that you could
There you
probably
go.
prove.
So it's subjective, isn't it? It has
Well,
to
it
be.
depends.
You could prove that if it's stuck in there.
If they just turned it on and the thing went bluey, then I guess it's not.
No,
Do you,
it's a very good point, but
But
it
other
does get
communities
very...
work it
If we're
out.
going to utilize it year after year after year, I think that we ought to start thinking about investing in one. But over the past years, we've neglected a lot of the side roads and the brush, and I know that this year they've done an amazing job on cutting back brush, but they've done it.
Well, and it's done by
Done it.
hand, too.
Yeah.
Then they've brought it
They
all
can
back
go a
to the...
lot faster with the chipper.
They can, and also, I would have to figure it out. I could get us into Belmont and Samberton, they rent a roadside mower, and I can get us into the same deal as them. I'd have to do a little bit of research. For the roadside mower, this is a boom mower off the side. It's $45 an hour on the hour meter. So if you got a rain day and the thing's sitting at the shop, then
Makes no
you're not
difference.
paying for it.
Yep.
You buy, it comes with, they say it comes with one set of blades. They put extras on the machine, and if you need to, you replace it, you pay the $50 or whatever the charge might be for those. It's actually a very good deal, and it's a very necessary thing. But because we haven't done it in so long, now we go through and do it, we're going to be looking at a mess the first couple of years, because a lot of things have been kept down and trimmed down, and as those sticks start coming up, they die off after a couple of years and fall over. Well, it's been so long now that we're going to have sticks sticking up all over the place, and a lot of little limbs hanging out, and it's going to be messy for a while, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. But if you look at the hours it's going to take the crew to try to go in and do a road, it's going to pay for
I'd still like
itself.
it cut back.
If we don't start it now, it never gets done.
One of the things that was mentioned before that one of the guys mentioned about a problem with cutting back, and that they've been cutting back all the bamboo. Bamboo is actually what they're referring to.
Japanese knotweed.
Japanese knotweed.
Knotweed, yeah.
Along with buckthorn and stuff like that. The problem with just cutting that back is you're actually multiplying it. So maybe, I think it would be a good idea to have a plan that when they do encounter that, how it will be disposed of, or that, and not spread to other areas. And we've also, I think we have somebody that's been treating it for us
Oh, our
in different areas that has had very good luck at it. And we might want to
Yeah, because in the past, what I've done is had my crew, when we come up to the Japanese knotweed, it's the most obvious.
Yeah.
We stop mowing, go around it, and mow again. It's kind of a pain, but we would come back and cut it, just like the state did, and leave it lay, so we're not spreading it. I mean, we
Yeah.
can move it, but if you move it to any
You
areas,
have to burn it.
yeah.
You could burn it, or, I've dried it out and then,
Yeah, you could spread it in an area and let it dry there and make sure.
but that
it
was
does
just
the
one
right
thing, and one of the problems with getting a rotary mower, or roadside mower, is in the process, you're mowing it, all those pieces also collect in it. And then when you mow the next area, the little pieces fall off, and the piece of a leaf will actually grow a new plant of
Yeah.
knotweed. So, just something to consider that as they're going, to make sure everybody knows which these invasive species are.
Right, no, that's true. I don't want to spread the stuff,
It makes the job worse.
Yeah.
Had these before?
I'm gonna put these in.
Yeah, roadside mowing and stuff, even though a lot of people say, oh, it looks good, like when the state does it, during a program, all it's for is to keep bushes from turning into trees.
Yep.
It's not really for looks or aesthetics, except for in the intersections,
Yeah.
sight distance plays a part in it, but all the rest of it is just to keep the trees back, because it's a lot easier to mow them down now than to cut them out later. So we have mowing and cutting to do a lot of and it's going to take us a few years to get a handle on it. So, but those are just some ideas
Yep.
as we go along in the budget
Okay.
process.
Sounds good.
There was one other thing, the wall by the Tilton School, by the river, some of the rocks have fallen off of the top. Now,
That's Tilton
It's Tilton
School
I know it's
property.
Tilton School property, but one of the things, if they sit there and then you go through with your snow blower,
Yeah, we have to make sure that they're removed before,
yeah, and they might actually want those rocks.
Then we should
to put them back.
contact Tilton School.
yeah, we got to contact them.
Because they might want those rocks, and they want to just pick them up and
That's a good point.
chuck them.
They gotta fit them back in the hole.
Any more?
I got a question for you. I noticed a couple of cones on the patch on Mechanic Street. They were sitting there for quite a while, several days.
Yeah, those are no.
Those aren't ours? Okay. Because I was going to ask why we put cones over them, because to me, you let it open to traffic.
Yeah.
The rubber-tired roll is the best thing for asphalt. But okay. Right
I
near the
have two things
intersection.
I wanted to discuss while Johnny was here. One of them was the ice rink. We've had discussions about turning it over to Public Works to maintain, put up, maintain, take down. I don't think we ever came to a firm decision. But
No,
so
we
that
did not.
Public Works can plan on it. I thought we should have that discussion now, because November is the month we usually put it up.
Okay, well, I wanna kick a dead horse here, I guess. Why can't we put that at Riverfront Park?
Doesn't fit.
We can't shorten the sides? We can't shorten this just a little bit? Because quite frankly, all we do for that ice rink, and we're spinning our wheels. I go over there on a weekly basis, and it's never right. I've never seen anybody skate on it. I've only
Show you
seen
how to help us.
skate marks. That doesn't get the people to the place.
Well, I can only do
If
so
it's-
much working.
I
50
understand that.
taxi
I
hours.
understand
So
that, but-
we need help.
I don't, you have a couple of problems. You have all the irrigation lines that run through Riverfront Park, and the support that holds it up are driven into the ground. So that's a problem.
Oh, you're going to water it.
Well, that's
Get
another
out of the
thing.
river.
Getting
They've even
water
got the
into it.
pump.
You'd
They've
have
even
to,
got the
No.
pump. Yeah, they
you'd have
do.
to take,
Oh, we pull it every fall.
yeah.
They have a pump, a submersible pump. Dennis Allen told me they did.
Who has?
We have a
Public
pump,
Works.
we have a
You're going to
pump
go out on the river to put a pump in and take it out
All
to
you
water?
have to do
I
is
wouldn't.
chop a hole in the edge of the thing and slide the hose in.
So, rather than discussing the location of where we're putting it now, how about we discuss who's going to install it and maintain it, and save the discussion for location for later? The park commissioners are only a volunteer group of 5. Well, they have me, that's 6. They have full-time jobs, and it's really difficult for them to properly maintain that. It's hit or miss when it gets put up for
It's
the same
impossible,
reason.
and I understand that. I'm all for having Public Works
So-
maintain the ice rink. That said, nobody's using the ice rink where it is now. That's what's
That discussion
killing
we
me.
can have later. I mean, I invite everybody to look at Riverfront Park, see if you think it'll fit, figure out how it'll work. You have to remember, it does do some havoc to the grass, and my main concern is the irrigation lines and the heads that run all through that park.
If it's not level, you raise havoc, because our first year, we had 18 inches of ice on
Yeah.
one end, and we didn't hit the other wall. And we thought it looked relatively flat.
Yeah.
And I had to pick the wrong corner as the low point,
Yeah.
just looking.
So, how's everybody feel?
I really don't. I'm going to kick a dead horse here.
That kind of phrase.
I don't. I have absolutely no problem with the Public Works setting it up and maintaining it, but I think that we need to readdress what it is that the Parks Commission wants the town to just take over. I think that you need to sit down and say, all right, you're a volunteer group. Volunteers are very hard to get nowadays. We know that. So I think that going forward, we should come up with a plan and see what's going to go under highway, what's going to go under parks, and come up with that.
I think that's what we're doing.
Well, I think we're doing it
The
in
park
piecemeal, though.
commissioners will continue to do the ice rink if you don't want it to go to Public Works. I'm just saying that it would be better for the public if there were people dedicated during the day to setting it up and maintaining it. I thought it was a good idea if Johnny talked with the park commissioners to discuss how the town could save money. It may not be a savings. We may find out that it's not a savings. But it probably will be, and that discussion should take place. But I don't think the, charges of the park commissioners has changed any, or will change any. It's just that, again, I'm repeating myself, the ice rink, it's difficult for people who have full-time jobs. They'll continue to do it, but it would just be...
How much maintaining is there during the day? Like, if
If it
we...
snows, it needs to be cleaned off,
Okay.
and the surface reflooded, sometimes.
I'd like to look, do you have snow fence?
I haven't seen any
Okay.
yet, but
The parks may have to buy some snow fence, because when the wind gets blowing, it'll blow right over and into
Yeah.
so if we put it close to the tree line, that may give us the room. Because,
When it snows, we clear it off with snow blowers. And there's one at 132 that the park commissioners purchased. It needs to be flooded in the beginning of the season. That's the most maintenance. Once it's flooded, there's a, what do you call, a Zamboni
Zamboni, yeah.
to keep it smooth. We have one
well, all
that's
you
in,
do is you spray it.
yeah, but there is a
Some of
Zamboni in there.
that I can do. It's a matter of when you get the storms back to back to back, I can.
So,
What I would need to know would be, what are the expectations? How soon after a storm do you want it back to working condition?
The
Because
roads and the sidewalks are going to have to
they're
take
always come
priority.
first. They always
they're
would.
the priority,
But
right.
it would be some time before we got to it.
And there may be times I can beat you to it.
Right, and that's reasonable.
I have no problem doing it. I just wanted everybody, if we do it, to realize that we might not be there, like if we got a snow tonight, we might not be there first thing in the morning.
Right, but for example, the park
but it might be
commissioners,
there
the
a
park
day or two
commissioners
later.
would partner with you.
I think
That
that
sort of thing.
Can we reasonably request that you sit with Johnny and go over what you feel that it would be cheaper if the town took on the responsibility so that he could accommodate the budget?
It's not going to be cheaper for the town to take over the responsibilities of the rink.
No, what I'm saying is, yeah, you're right, it was misleading when the way I said it was, what you would like to see the town take over so that it gets maintained properly.
Setting it up,
Setting it up
flooding
and
maintaining the
So-
rink.
but-
And when the park commissioners are able to, they would, help to clear it off. We get a blizzard, I mean, you're busy, sometimes those last for days.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah,
usually
because-
it's Peter and I
Well, he-
can help you.
Johnny's going to need to get a parameter kind
know.
of thing to do it so that he can...
I'll show you how to plow
He can
the parking
accommodate
lot,
the
'cause we got
budget.
gravel on the berm that we never had in previous
That's going to be
years.
difficult because, it's not like they're going to work extra hours.
No.
Right.
But for me to sit here and tell you how many hours it is going to take, I cannot predict the weather.
Yeah. Well,
We have had winters where we have flooded it, and we've gotten 3 or 4 storms, and it was like glass for 90% of the winter. It was amazing. I think that was the
But-
first year we set it
Well,
up.
I'm not just talking about the ice rink, I'm talking about the mowing, the ice rink.
I'm talking about just the ice rink right now. The mowing is going to be, that part needs to be discussed with the park commissioners.
Well, once you talk it over with the park commissioners, can you just get with Johnny to kind of come up with an idea of, so that he can incorporate it in the framework of a budget?
The mowing?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, but right
Yeah.
now, I'm trying to find out if the,
Well, I think
Selectmen
we've
would
all
sm-
said that we didn't have a problem with it, except John, I didn't hear from John.
No, I think, like what Catherine said, the biggest problem is setting it up, because you need manpower to get everybody together and work in conjunction with the parks to, I know Peter showed me, I went down there with him, freezing cold to flood it, but, to work together on the other parts, I think
Yeah,
would be
it's the
fine.
only way
Yeah.
towns can make it, we gotta be
You know,
teams.
and like you said, I totally agree, center of town gets cleared out first, the roads get plowed, and then boom.
Yeah, because I have no problem
I
doing
think
it, just like,
that's- yeah.
the only thing is, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't expected to be right on that.
As soon as you're down the road,
Yeah,
road,
so
you'll
we
be
can-
right
so we
over
can-
there.
So we can come up with
Yeah.
a schedule, a priority list of,
Right.
once this X, Y, and Z's done, we can get to A over
got
here.
it, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Then I want to make a motion to have the Public Works Department take over the setting out maintenance and taking down of the ice skating rink.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second for discussion.
All right. Discussion.
I should say pending the approval of the park commissioners, although I have talked to them about it.
I'll continue the second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion?
I hate the skating rink. Skating rinks cost us thousands of dollars and nobody uses it. I hate that we've got lots of money in this and it's not getting used. I'm all for skating, okay, but it's not getting used, and now we're gonna spend more
Let's
money
send
on it.
Highway over to the pond between Walmart and Agway, and they can clear that off.
They can't, but,
We have the rink, we should make the best use of it possible, and I think this is
exactly.
it. I think this is it.
All right.
I think it's cheap entertainment for our public, and if we can perfect it, we've done a good service.
Now, in
I think that's the
maintenance,
answer. If
Okay,
you
I
can
agree with
perfect
that,
it-
Catherine,
if you
for
can
sure.
I think that's really the answer, if you can perfect it, if you can make it better, and with some help and some expertise and manpower, you can perfect it.
in maintenance, that does not include any expenses for repairs to it.
Well, they do repairs, but they bill the park, when the bill comes in, they're gonna charge it to parks.
Right.
Like when they fixed the
So
mower.
I
this-
just want, I'm just,
Yeah, Arthur fixed our mower this summer, we paid for the parts. I don't
Right.
I don't know if
Okay,
we paid
I
any
just-
labor. but-
Right, and we have extra brackets down in the basement for it anyway.
so the repairs and
So for the minute,
repairs and the costs
Right.
will still be with the parks, just the
Any
labor.
cost to repair the device will still be with the park commissioners.
I would like to add a caveat here, that the Public Works Department is still under the direction of the Board of Selectmen.
That what?
Yep.
In this endeavor, the Board of Selectmen are still the ones who direct the Department of Public Works.
Right.
I don't think you have to make that statement. That is the way it is.
In the past, there was nothing but complaints in the Parks Department about Public Works performance, and I just want to, and all right, you don't have to add it, but it's in the minute.
He wants to eliminate that. Past.
You're never going to eliminate people complaining.
Right.
That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is eliminate, do this, do that, do this, do it this way,
already
do it
did
that
that.
way,
That's
put it
why
here,
we
put it
Joyce.
there.
That's why everything goes through
It all goes through
from the
Joyce
outside.
anyway.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gail.
And Joyce, don't let me forget.
I didn't even know town had an ice rink. Since that new message board is going to go to the first part, when it does open, then we either advertise it or let town know that there's an ice rink available.
Yeah, that'll come later. The park commissioners discussed last year about making a sign to put down at the intersection of 132 to direct people up there to the skating rink. Because a lot of people don't,
Family and all that.
but we need to perfect it, and I think this year will be the year.
You gonna go skating?
And then we can publicize it.
Skate.
I skate.
I can try to get the guys to bring their kids or grandkids.
Oh, yeah, it's a
That way.
great...
All right, moving on. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Begrudgingly.
Unanimous.
What was that?
All right.
I'd like some parameters.
Thank
here.
you. The other item, which I hope won't take quite so long to discuss, is there's a tree that's planted in the sidewalk right beside onions. The tree is large now, and the branches are against our building and against onions. So it's been suggested to me that we remove that specific species of tree, and Alan, the owner of onions, has offered to replace it with a tree such as an arborvitae, which will not branch out into the buildings, but will still have something green there.
I'm not in favor of that.
Well, right now, in order to trim that tree so that the branches are not intruding upon the next,
I'm absolutely positively in favor of taking the tree down. But we all know what goes on behind that tree.
No, we don't all know. Tell me, what goes on behind
You
the
know,
tree?
Johnny, I'm waiting.
Tell me. Drug sales.
Drug sales.
that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of this afternoon's libations.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
It goes on quite
I've
often.
seen that too.
I was thinking,
But,
An arborvitae would only prevent,
The tree right in
an
the corner.
arborvitae would only invite more.
not out at
if
the
you're
curb,
walking down the
John.
sidewalk, it's actually to the left. It's right by the alley. And
Yeah.
right now, it's,
Ask any
It's
kid in
the end of
town,
their porch.
that's where it's at.
I've
That's,
always wanted to see it taken down
that
and
would,
left down.
that would invite, an arborvitae would invite more
Yeah.
Might
perpetrators.
get
I
new
didn't know
activities
that. I
too.
would be
yeah.
in favor of taking it
Now-
down and leaving it down.
Why don't we
What-
just take it out and leave it out if they use it?
Oh, I am totally in favor of that.
I think one of the other things, and
Absolutely.
I mentioned to everybody, there's 2 trees. We might want to think of this as a group effort for cutting down all the
We
trees.
should talk to Paul Rush, though, about taking those
There's
down.
2 trees that are in front of
Yep.
where the karate shop are.
They've been
that
complaining.
When they were replaced, when they were damaged years ago,
Yep.
Yeah.
they weren't specifically the same species of dwarf trees, and now they're starting to show it. And I think last year, we had a few complaints about them growing too big, and,
Every year for
yeah, and it
4
would be,
years now.
and there's,
Although we could limb them up and turn
Let's
them into
see, we can throw
pom-poms.
in Riverfront Park with all those ash that we're gonna lose at some point.
That will be, not be a bad
if we
thing.
could,
Riverfront
We've got
Park
way
is-
too many trees there.
if we could go and take a look, maybe, I don't know if this is something the Public Works can do, or a separate arborist, but have all the same type of tree all the way through, but to remove those 2 trees, and I'd also like to consider only replacing one of them when
I
we
agree with
replace it out there. if you look at the spacing of the trees, when you go through the center of town, all of a sudden, there's two in front of where the karate building was.
Too many.
And the one that is closest to the handicap spot and actually blocks a little bit of that, I think should be no tree, just a blank space.
Well, then paved over.
Paved over.
Paved over, or
What about
flower
the-
bucket, or,
South side where the trees have been removed, but you still have the cutouts.
We should put some trees over there.
Well, yeah, but they never see the sun. Your
There are
buildings-
trees that you could plant there that would grow fine. You just have to buy them
Mushrooms?
for the,
so, I don't know if
think this
everybody's
would
in
be a-
agreement to remove the
This
tree.
is way off the subject from the onions tree in between the town hall.
right now, it's a tree that's damaging
Right.
two buildings.
I suggest take it down and not have something be put up.
So tree damages brick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think the other two trees should be
The water.
treated the same because they're also rubbing up against the buildings down there, and maybe we should just look at this and have 3 trees
If you're
removed.
looking to save money, then throw in Vest Pocket and Riverfront parks that have too many trees.
I'm talking about trees that are actually causing damage, they're rubbing up against the building there. We're going to be paying Paul Rushlow to prune them when we're just going to be cutting them down.
Right.
I'd like to just,
His price for
Name
pruning the trees on Main
3
Street
trees.
won't be adjusted if we take those 2 trees down, or 3.
I'd like to make a motion to remove 3 trees from the Main Street, the 2 in front of the karate shop and the one that's out here.
Second. I agree with John. Those trees should come down.
I'd like to have a forester or tree person give us our opinion. Can you reshape those? Or are they
They
too,
were gone.
Bonsai?
well,
No, they can't,
why can't you?
because it's too big now. It's
So?
gone beyond reshaping it.
You have to start
They would look like
bonsaiing a
pom-poms.
tree
I
right
talked
at
to
the
him.
start.
I talked to a guy.
Well, that's funny, you cut a tree down, what do? They start out from the stump again.
Yeah, but that doesn't, they're
These-
gonna grow
these
just
are
as
very-
big, they're not gonna stay small.
Right, the trunk is too
Would
thick.
Public Works be able to take those down?
If you want them cut down, yes. If you want them removed and planted somewhere else, probably not.
No, that's
down.
too expensive.
And
No, we
Not
want them
that
cut
tall.
down.
They're not that tall.
my thought was just give them as, flush as possible, put a cone or a bucket over them or something,
No,
and
they
then in
can
the
get us-
spring
you
deal
can
with
rent a
it.
stump
I can
grinder.
grind them down
Okay.
and
Yep.
pave right over it.
Taylor rental
until
has
you
stump
decide to put
grinders.
more up or wherever.
We'd have to get Paul Rushlow to kind of treat them.
I think that would be a good idea. One, we would probably want to replace at some point in time, but the other one can be paved over. Does everyone agree with that?
Which one?
The one in front of the handicap?
Look at the spacing,
over?
yeah.
Yeah, aesthetically, and it appeared to
It
me the
spaces
one
them
next
out
to the
evenly.
handicap sign,
Okay.
Right.
but everybody else can vote on the,
Are we all on board with all 3 being taken down? This is part of the discussion, Gail. 3 of them are going to be taken down. Highway will take them and grind them down. One you'll, by the handicap sign, you'll replace with asphalt.
And this one over here?
And then,
And this one.
and this one over here.
I thought it might not be a bad place for all the water to run into.
Could be. Yeah, but then it would be in their cellar.
and
Somebody will fall and sue the hole, pave it over.
The highway's going to take the
Highway.
trees down and then grind them, and then at some point in time, we'll figure out what we're going to replace one of the trees on Main Street with. But the one in front of the handicap is going to be paved over.
Next spring, we can worry
and
about it.
how about the one in front of Onions?
That one too.
I'd say
Pave
no.
over it and not replace it, or?
Pave over it. That would be my vote, because I already know for years that, just ask the detectives.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Oh, God, yes.
So why haven't we put a camera up?
Yes,
Yes. All those in favor of the motion?
Yeah.
yes.
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 Next.
Opposed? Abstain? Next. All right. That was unanimous. So you'll explain to Alan that we'll be glad to take the tree down, but we really don't want to put anything back up?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what else you got for us?
Last time I was here, we talked a little bit about the trench permit.
Yeah, I understand somebody has a trench
Manville.
on Mansville Road.
Yeah,
Three.
what happened there this morning, I actually made them fill out a trench permit. They had filled out a permit with the state along Route 3. They had a valve that was leaking.
Is that Valvoline?
By Valvoline, yeah.
Yeah.
They had a leaky valve, and once they got into, they were going to replace the valve. So once they got down into it, what's going on is, at the bottom where the gas main is, the pipe comes out, and then somebody 45'd it up and then 45'd it again, and it put it really close, like 13 or 14 inches from the top of the asphalt. So it was way too close to the surface. So what they have to do now is they have to dig back up on Mansville Road so that they have room enough to lower the whole pipe and eliminate the 45 so that it's a straight shot into the main line. It wasn't something they had planned on doing, so I went down and talked to them and had them to fill out a trench permit then. But these trench permits, I basically took the trench permit that we have, and it was very similar, almost carbon copy to Northfield's, and I had updated them over there some, and so I went ahead and updated this. And so you can take time to read it. I put the information that mostly was on the back onto the front, rearranged some things. I didn't eliminate anything. I added to, changed some wording. You know, it's basically the same one you had, but I added the fact that we needed 2 courses and so on and so forth, and also contact the police department as well as the highway department, and so we'll give Joyce her copy.
Is there anything in here about notifying property owners in residential neighborhoods, for example, if the road is going to be, they're going to be closed?
Yeah, what is notifying the director, me, and the police
No,
department.
them notifying residents,
The abutters, right.
like putting up a sign
I didn't
prior to
write
the
that in
work,
there, other than whatever's addressed
so
by the
that
municipal.
we don't incur a cost of notification.
Yeah, that's a good idea. How important.
Like Save Harmless.
Hopefully it's not too bad as far as spelling and grammar.
We can read this over and bring it up next week?
Yeah.
We should add some specific language about bonding.
That's on the last page.
The ordinance is kind of vague.
I used the ordinance to come up
And
with.
this is, yeah, see, this is the exact wording in the ordinance itself.
Because I can't change the ordinance.
Well, there was a vote at the selectmen's meeting to not change the ordinance, but to have the language in the permit reflect a change, which
Okay.
I think was reaching, but they did it anyway. That took, yeah, where is that? I've got a copy of that. Anyway, I just think that we should add some language so the bonding is specific, how much they're going to be expected to bond, like, I don't know, not less than 5,000 or more than 10,000. Something, and I'm just throwing that
Depend on how
out.
much they're ripping up.
Yeah.
So
Right, that's what I mean, not
two
less
things
than.
so far to add is the note, for them to take the responsibility of notifying the surrounding owners, and then,
Well, by surrounding,
well,
say
abutting.
you're doing
Anybody on that
Manville Road,
street.
you've got 40 or so houses in there, that's the only way out, then they're
Right.
going to be responsible for all.
They would be responsible for
Right, and
that.
that could be by signage before
Right.
the cut,
Right.
Yeah.
or, leaving notices so people's doors, whatever.
And the other thing is to add right away is the bonding. Those are two of the issues that we see right away.
Nice format.
Yep, I like it.
What's that?
Nice
Nice.
format.
Oh, thanks.
And the guys down on Manville Road, they didn't know that it wasn't okay to cut open a road they had no permit for?
Well, what? I was in the office when their supervisor called.
I was there when Dennis called.
Yeah, and it happened just before you showed up.
Yep.
There was another gentleman from town here who was in the office, and the phone was ringing, and he kept talking. I didn't want to just, excuse me, and so I figured, let the answering machine get it, I'll call him back. And the gentleman called from Liberty, and said briefly what was happening, and then all of a sudden, he was gone. And so I'm like, well, maybe he'll call back, and he never called back. So once Dennis called, I went down to check it out, see what's going on, and I took a permit with me for them to fill out. He obviously knew they were supposed to get a permit.
You would think, and yet he didn't anyway.
Because he called me, but then he just...
He called you, but I had gone through there half an hour before I got to you at least, and there was a big hole on that side of the street. There was no hole on Route 3, so I'm thinking that he went right over there and started on Manville Road without a trench permit.
He did.
He did.
So can we put in penalties for failure to comply with the permit?
There was no permit.
I understand, which is why I'm looking for
Penalty
penalties.
for not.
Not getting a
Yes.
permit.
Yes, so come
Which
up
is
with
not on you,
something.
John, this is
Oh, I
on
know,
those
I know.
guys.
Get something that'll get their attention, because until they get bitten by it.
When I was reading your ordinance, the penalties aren't very high.
That's my
Well, that was one
next
of my,
comment.
that was one of my comments.
Yeah, that was on your paperwork. They gave me a copy of that last week.
Okay, yeah.
It's still more expensive for them than getting the permit, which I don't think costs them anything.
Right.
And we don't charge for this permit, do we?
No.
No.
So there should be a permit fee.
Well, right now, I'm interested in penalties.
Right. Joyce, did we get a ruling from Dan Crean a while ago? And I don't remember, I think we were changing the littering ordinance or something, that even though town meeting voted it in, that we had the authority to increase the fines and fees?
I think that was hawkers and peddlers,
Okay.
Yeah,
that we could.
but that's a precedent, isn't it?
Pardon me?
That's a
No, Dan
precedent, isn't
Crean,
it?
our municipal, wasn't it Dan Crean that said that?
Because the statute allows the selectmen to make the ordinance.
Okay.
It just so happens that our town meeting did. That's just because town meeting did.
Doesn't preclude our authority, so could we carry that through with this? It has to do with roads. Selectmen have that authority over roads.
That is correct.
Okay. So then we should look at the ordinance and increase those.
If we're allowed to increase the fees, but can we create fees for something that didn't exist before?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, because that's our authority.
So they would notify the abutters of signing for road closures. What was the other thing? Is there
Bonding.
one more thing?
Want to read mine?
Bonding.
Bonding.
Read my
Oh,
writing?
Okay, yeah, better language, more specific bonding. And you guys, I can work with you to come up with that, because there are different type of trenches. Like, one trench might
Right.
just be tying a gas main into a house, so it's usually not very big, but if you're gonna go 30 or 40 feet down the road, that's quite a project. You know, so,
Well, that would probably require road closure and all that.
they could, they could use traffic control, but it very well could.
Joyce can probably help you out with the language on the bonding, right?
The amounts we'll have to think
Joyce,
about.
right?
Yeah, in fact, I asked Dari, there was a workshop on letters of intent and forms of security, and I asked him to go to the workshop.
Yep.
So I'd like to
sit down and go over that. That's all that material.
Yeah, good.
Is there language in here that where possible, they will not close the roads, that trench halfway, do their work, close it up, and trench the other half? Or is that unreasonable?
No, that's not unreasonable to think at all. Matter of fact, if they work on some of the busier roads, like for the state or anybody
Yeah, Route
else,
3 isn't going to let them close Route 3.
they're not going to let them close it, so they have to do that.
Are we going to do 50-foot
Don't-
sections too, Catherine?
The only time that I would agree to anything like that, and I was also wondering, should we add the fire department onto this as well as the police? Because sometimes if they were closing, if they were going to
They
close the
should,
road.
sure,
because of
yeah.
emergency vehicles.
Exactly.
They're doing that.
You're saying they would have to notify them as well?
But, well, at
Or
least
would
if they're
that
going
be
to close
our,
the road.
would that be our responsibility?
No, I would say it would be theirs.
Put it
but
on
I
them.
don't know what day that they're going to be there and what day they're not.
So provide,
At least, just think about this, at least if they're going to close the road, because then the
Right.
fire truck may not be able to make it
Exactly.
through there.
But
Well-
also lane closure, depending on the width.
Right, exactly, because we've got village roads that are very, very narrow.
Manville was a real hassle for those trucks going in and out.
All right, what
I
I'll do is
watched them doing it. and then-
I'll try to get a hold of the fire chief and get his input on it, if he wants to be included and what he would look for.
Got it.
you don't have on the front page the dates, at least I didn't see them, when the work would be performed. Location, purpose, depth,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
length.
So we'd
I don't
put
see the dates.
the dates. Good point.
All right. Work to be performed. Okay. That's actually at the end, under 16, but I can move it to the front, or... in
Probably
addition
should
to-
be on the front too,
Okay.
with all the other information.
Oh, I see what, yeah, you do. Okay, work to begin, work to end, because we're not gonna, well, actually, save harmless the town, agree to additional costs. I'd like it at the beginning. Because you're gonna see on the top, you're gonna pick up this package, and you're gonna see right away, you're gonna say permit number, it's from this date to this date.
Right.
It's gonna be easier.
Number 13 does have a bond language in it, where the bond would be sufficient to restore the road to its original condition.
Right, as
And
I
that's
said
gonna
before,
change.
that's the exact language from the ordinance, which is, you know, I think we should have a definitive amount in there that, you know, I said
That would
5,000,
change,
10,000, that could be 3,000, 12,000, I don't know.
that would change.
We could do it by...
I mean, what is the
jobs, like-
minimum amount that would require somebody to bond, you know? I would think it wouldn't be less than 3,000. I mean, I threw out 5,000 as a dart figure, but I'll leave that to you. You probably can figure out the cost of somebody digs a hole and doesn't do anything and walks away, now we fill
Well,
it in and do all the work.
The thing about bonds, too, is you want to make it so that it hurts a little bit. They're not going to pay it, their insurance companies are going to pay it.
That's right, they just post a bond.
So you're trying to get them into the habit of, well, a lot of contractors will come back to complete something and fix it, make it right, before you call the bond,
That's right,
because it affects their rates.
you.
that's right.
So, the bond is more or less, I mean, and we do want it to cover the cost, but it's to keep them coming back and finishing up their work.
Or if they're careless enough to collapse part of the road because of their trenching.
So we can,
That's why I'm still,
want to
I'm
break it
now
up
I'm at
maybe in small,
5,000.
medium, and large jobs type thing.
I would just give a minimum and maximum, and then we, as each job comes, we can, I think.
And then
Minimum and maximum, And then the
to be
board,
determined.
by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, there you go.
Or its agent.
Or their agent.
Or there,
Or their designee,
Yeah.
as it says in the law.
Oh,
Or their designee.
Yeah, I kind of took a bunch of that out because,
that's legal talk, John.
yeah,
And we know
you
it.
guys want it back in, I
And
can.
those
The
freaking lawyers,
Statement at the bottom, the selectmen may appoint a designee to.
Overseen by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, something like that. And it doesn't, even if it's not in there, we can say, you know what? We're gonna designate this responsibility to you. Just takes one vote.
I was just curious, what is an on-spot chain helmet?
You know what on-spot chains are? They're attached to the truck all the time, in the wintertime. So they're chains for the tires,
Oh, okay.
and if you're not using them, they just kind of hang there.
Oh, okay.
And when you need them, you turn them on, and then it rotates with the tire to give you that extra bite to keep your truck going. This helmet is just a piece that goes on top of the apparatus to help keep the dirt.
Oh, okay.
And it's all,
Just curious.
yeah.
All right, do you have anything else for us?
Just something non-public later or whatever.
Non-public? All right,
I have the weekly work schedule. I didn't do next week's.
okay.
Sorry, I started eating.
It's okay. You're entitled, see, we have this, so you're entitled to grab whatever you want.
yeah, anything within arm's reach. Otherwise, you'll have to stand
Start
up.
throwing some at you.
Well, that's what happened.
I threw it at him.
Listen, well, I can give you an update on Westwood. It's turned into a bigger project.
Fiasco?
Fiasco. Yeah. We're going down through and we found that somebody had piped a pipe into our culvert for the system.
No.
Yeah, they had blown a hole in the side of the metal pipe and stuffed the pipe in. At one point, it was probably leaking.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that back and cap it. And then as you get down, it was very odd when you look at the catch basin and where the pipe actually comes out in daylights as an angle across the road, way down. I couldn't figure out why they did it, and I still don't even know why they did it. But what they uncovered today, as they're digging through, they get prepared, so we're gonna replace all the culvert pipe in there with plastic, PVC. We have the majority of what we need at this shop in stock, which should be used up. We've had it for a very long time. And it is wet under there. So we're gonna put under drain and the culvert in and plumb it down to the catch basin at the bottom of the hill, tie it into the system. But while they were digging today, we were thinking maybe they put a 45-degree angle on it or something. They actually didn't. Somebody over the course of time actually cut out a piece of the pipe and bent it to go the direction they want, which left a big hole in the pipe. They stuffed a beer can in to help cover it, and the pool cover is over it, or a pool liner. So,
Pool liner?
yeah, over top of it. So that's why,
Hope you took pictures.
yeah, I got some pictures. You want
Oh.
to see?
That is amazing.
Now, who would have access to do that?
Anybody with a backhoe
It's,
wants to divert
You
stormwater.
could still narrow it down a little, maybe, considering where it is and
the last
whatever. Who
time
would do that?
anybody can come up with the work that was done for anything like that was back to the 60s. So it worked well for a long time.
You sure you weren't up there?
That's
in the
one way to
60s?
drain a leach field.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was up in that neighborhood in the 60s, but I wasn't digging culverts, I'll tell you.
Sure?
I'm certain.
What was Jim Dodge doing back then?
Cumberland's. Worse than that.
Wow.
Yeah, this first picture there, you can see is a liner.
Oh, my
Is that
Over
a
top of
kiddie
the-
pool or something?
It looks like a liner. I was actually working on the,
They put that around the pipe?
Yep.
yeah, trench permit when they were up there doing it today. I'll be able to go with them tomorrow.
Look like a blow-up raft.
Those are good pictures on that phone.
Fred took it and sent it to my phone.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we like having pictures. It gives us an idea to...
Yeah.
Some people won't believe what you find out there. I mean, seriously, you say, well, I found a pipe that was bent and a hole in it and a beer can and a pool liner wrapped around it. Come on, how many people would believe you when you said that?
We had a sewer pipe that the old clay one they broke, and it was right underneath where a water line crossed, and they used the shirt off of someone's back and just wrapped it with that and duct tape.
A sewer pipe?
Yes! It was up here on School Street. We were out there 10 o'clock at night. Because it was backed into the
How'd the shirt hold up? I know the duct tape would have held up, but...
Well, they held up for some years.
Wow.
So my recommendation about Westwood is let us finish the under drain and the new culvert installation and not do the job this year. The ground is still too saturated. It was very dry at the top part because we haven't had any rain, and even down to this culvert. But it's still wet underneath. And while I was working on the backhoe, when I would hit a rock with the backhoe, the guys on the ground actually felt the vibrations, just how spongy it is under there. And that's at about 4 feet. So if I get the under drain into it now, it should be below the frost line, depending on the winter, obviously, and it can be draining over the course of the winter.
Yeah.
And maybe sometime late spring, early summer, it might be ready to
Finish.
Just make
Finish
sure
it.
it's dry enough when we do it.
Exactly, you know, and I was even pounding down some of the material with the backhoe yesterday, and as I went down, it went down 4 or 5 inches with the material, and it sprung back up 2 or 3. So it's just,
You think if that leach field's been draining into there for over 40 years, that leach field has extended itself under the road.
yeah.
That's why I just laughed. We're gonna be draining
That's why
that,
it's so wet.
draining that leach field.
Well, if you cap that pipe, somebody's gonna figure it out real quick.
Yeah,
Somebody's washing machine or some
I have
pump
already
is gonna...
spoken with the owner
Oh,
personally.
have you? Yeah.
And I sent them a certified letter.
yeah, we got a hold of him yesterday,
All right.
All right.
and
Does the sewer department know about that? Because
But-
It's
Well, they do
septic.
now.
it's a,
It's septic.
that was going, it was the septic that was going into that, or was it?
There's sewer up there.
We're miles away from that.
Okay, good. Because I feared the next thing would be they'd connect it up to the
Yep.
thing.
No, that's
Great.
what they would have to do. And regrettably, there isn't any sewer.
so that's where we're
Still
standing on
have
that.
to
I'll get a
design
hold
a
of the
septic
contractor,
system
because this may
and-
change the price
That's
of what
big money.
he quoted on Ridge. So we may just want to put that off and do it all at the same time again as well. One thing that's nice about that, there is some ditch work up there that I would like to do. And typically, I like to do the ditch work before the paving.
You think?
And, yeah. And this will give us the chance to get in there this spring, sometime after everything's settled down
I
and,
want to see the outrigger.
So you're going to put Westwood on hold altogether,
yeah, until next year.
the paving part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like Ridge as well should be
Ridge
on
as
hold.
well, so-
Let's do the ditch work first.
And then, so next year, what the plan would be to do both of those roads. This year, the plan was just to put binder on them,
Yep.
but next year, we could put binder and the wear course.
Did you let are we going to let the contractor, the bidder,
I'll give him a call tomorrow if you guys are good with
are we
that.
good with that?
Yes,
Yep. John?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's
Good.
great. Thanks, sir.
I'd
And,
rather do it right.
Yep.
and speaking of paving, I gotta get a hold of the chief still. I thought he was gonna be here.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be here too.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna
He's
be.
due at 6 o'clock.
They're gonna be in,
Oh,
starting
it's
the
6:25.
parking lot at 7 o'clock, October 5th.
Okay.
So that'll be starting there. We'll have to get make sure all the
6
cars are
o'clock,
out.
did you say?
7.
7? I'll tell him 6, and that way they'll be ready for 7. October 5th, Monday,
PD?
PD.
PD.
All right.
So should we have our Public Works Director create a plan for sidewalks?
Yes, please.
And my suggestion is if the sidewalks is not included in the capital reserve fund, that we entertain a warrant article to add it.
Yep. I would go along with that. Yep,
I think that's a much better way, because if it doesn't get done, then we still have the money from it,
right.
and
Yes, I agree.
encourages it to get
And
done.
and it encourages to get it done, and we have somebody very aggressive to get those things done
Well, it
now.
solves the problem that Joe
Yep.
spoke to. We keep raising and appropriating the money, but we don't spend it.
Right.
This way, at least we can
Roads
leave it
and
in the
sidewalks.
fund.
Leave it right there where it's earmarked for. I agree.
I'd much rather do that.
Oh,
Remove
here's the
that-
chief.
Remove that line altogether.
No, you're too late. Half hour.
We're just about ready to tie up the meeting.
Man, oh man, you've got to stop doing my job for me.
You know what I went through to change this agenda? The last- Wow, anybody's here on time.
Hey, it's on for 6.
Yeah, thanks.
It's late in my book.
Geometry.
Late in my book, too. Okay.
Get the chance to give you next week's schedule, just what
right.
we've done this week and tomorrow.
I have to tell you, I think this is fabulous. Thank you.
Yep. Oh. See that?
Yeah, they started on it,
Oh,
but I stopped them. It ain't out.
good.
Yes, but he was gonna cut wires.
Not anything yet.
Okay, got it. All right.
But that motor regardless has to come out. I mean, unless you got plans on sending it somewhere.
Yeah. We got plans. All right. At this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into non-public for RSA 91A:3 personnel.
Yeah.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Who requested that? Not on my list.
Johnny just let us know. Didn't you just hear him?
No.
He's got a 5-minute.
Yes.
The time being 6:53, I'd like to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel permanently,
It's up to them.
and as they pertain to legal matters permanently.
Second.
Until the matter's resolved.
Correct. Till the matter, you know how to write this, don't you?
Second.
Yes,
Right.
of course.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay.
Okay, we're good.
You have to ask him in public.
Hi, John, come on up. My first question to you is, this is on camera, do you want it in non-public session? Okay. I'll make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, that which would adversely affect the reputation.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Pause, yes.
Okay, wait a minute.
Grab the thing here. Okay, we are now ready. The time being
I can't remember.
7:45, I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of non-public session as they may affect somebody's reputation.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
permanently.
All right, sorry, Nate, come on up.
Calls for service.
Can somebody go downstairs and tell Jane she's can
I
come
didn't
up?
have to look it up. And, Peter?
Permanently. Gail,
Permanently.
okay.
All right. Nate's been called in as second chair here because the chief had an emergency, he had to go home. So here's his report.
Nice stripes.
Leave it down there too?
Sir?
Oh, we got to take Peter.
Peter's down there.
All right.
All right, move my lawn.
You want me to go back?
You're a nice man.
Very nice, thank you.
Don't
I
mind.
forgot. This is on the lights. Did you get my emails?
Yeah. And the music?
I got another complaint on the music today.
Okay, I forgot to bring it in, the Daily Sun, Laconia's looking at their noise ordinance, and part of it also addresses like yelling and also loud music, but also looking at some of their times.
This went straight through. Did you get complaints on noise at Tilton School? Friday night? They had the band and the music at the game night. Got a lot of residents calling.
Call Belknap.
Disorderly actions, that's
Sheriff's,
the noise,
the
right?
dispatch. That way it gets logged.
How much can you bend over to help and not resolve the issue?
Oh, God, it's such...
So sorry, Peter.
I'm sorry about interrupting before.
No,
Don't worry.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
we're a little late. My apologies. Things get there.
You've got candy.
Okay, have some. We always have candy.
You don't need it, it means we have.
These are ginger, these are delicious. These are
chewy.
Peter's. They're chewy and they're
Gotta
favorite.
like ginger.
I'll take it.
I was a Mary Ann kind of guy. Just saying.
Mary Jane,
That's a, no, Mary Ann, it's a Gilligan's Island thing.
oh,
You-
Oh, that's good.
Aren't they?
Chewy.
Yes.
John, don't want to leave you out,
John,
buddy.
you're not helping the cause. You gotta eat up.
Leave him up, buddy.
all right,
Can't eat
so
one, is that what it is?
here we are. Tilton School lights. Catherine and I were there the other night, sat down on the porch. It was like high beams coming at you. I could not sit on the swing and talk to Peter in this direction because I would be blinded.
Is this when Tara and Beth were there with you?
Did you have a chance to talk with them? So, did you get my email about it?
I did.
Okay. I don't know what to do. I don't have a suggestion. Unless we all meet together, that'd be the only thing.
What is the possibility of adjusting the lights further?
The lights are adjusted at their furthest downward angle for the safe lighting of the field.
There is, hard to remember, there was one behind the tree. That's quite a formidable tree. I don't know if it's the furthest one to the right, but when you're sitting on your porch and you glance over at it, there seem to be two in particular in the top row that are not at a downward angle, that are pointing right down. I'm not a light expert, I'm just saying. It seems a shame that they couldn't be adjusted further. There's a lot of light between the fence and Daniel Drive. A lot of light. That doesn't seem to just be spillover light, so I'm wondering if that could be, I don't think we're gonna solve the problem with just adjusting lights. I know that she is rethinking the curtain,
Is she? Oh, yeah, she is rethinking that,
but
the shade.
perhaps without obligation to her, that could be pursued. From what I read, it sounds like she's assuming this is going to be on the outside of her porch, exposed to weather. But it would seem to me that a curtain could be made
The
for
inside.
the inside that would be attractive. I don't think it's going to block out that much of a breeze. It's a beautiful porch. But I'm wondering if that shouldn't be abandoned, we should still at least pursue that somehow.
Well, how many games do you perceive that would, in the fall and in the spring, and evening games do you, in a year, do you think that this would take place?
Less than 20 times for practices and games.
Practices and games.
And it's it's most acute in that time period after daylight savings time in November and before we go back in April. So there's a week in March and a week in April, I think, is, right, isn't the first Monday?
So most of it's in the fall.
So I've got some thoughts
Okay.
on this, and I think I'm very willing to work with Tanis. I guess I don't know all the history, but I'm frustrated that she's not willing to sit down with me and have a conversation about this. That's frustrating to me.
Well, she would have. I mean, if we met, if you were there the other night, we would have had a lovely conversation, but unfortunately, you weren't able to make it.
Right, but I've been up there 3 times, Pat, and she never really interacts with me. And I'm not trying to assign blame or anything, but I'm frustrated by that in being a neighbor. I feel like the school has tried really hard to mitigate the issue that exists, and we've gone out of our way with this one neighbor. The other neighbors were watching the game on Friday night. I don't have problems from other neighbors.
I did get some calls on the music, though.
On the music, which, as soon as we were made aware of it, we turned it down immediately. It was the same level of music that we had in previous years.
Really?
Last year, but, it's okay. I did take it upon myself to investigate 3 separate solutions
Okay.
to blinds. I have an exterior blind, an interior blind, and an awning. I've investigated the costs, which are in the neighborhood of about $1,000 or $1,500, and I'm glad to pursue that angle with her and see if that might mitigate it. I am trying to balance that piece about being a good neighbor and trying to figure out what's reasonable, and reasonable complaint, and my actions as reasonable also. I greatly appreciate the time and effort that you two have put mostly into it. All you guys came up and saw the lights that night. That's the last thing you want to do, especially after...
Technically, I've never seen the lights. I've been up there a bunch of times, but they've never been on.
Electricity was turned off that one time, Joe, so...
No, there was another time, too.
Oh, was there another time, too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the mosquito night.
Oh, that was brutal. But, I guess I'm exasperated a little bit and trying to figure out a solution. I think you guys are too, on this one. So I like Catherine's suggestion of, I can pursue these things, and I'm even willing, I'm willing to say to her, Tanis, talk to your decorator, which I think she offered on that night. And these are the 3 solutions that we can have, figure out what would make sense, and then we can make that happen. That's
I think that's a reasonable path to follow. But from the last email, there was only one plan, it seemed, to have a curtain on the outside. But there's many options.
Yeah, there's
Many options.
There's many options, and I'd like to...
And they can be quite attractive.
Yeah, and the number of times that this happens in the big picture,
So would they just roll up when you're not using it, so the breeze can come through?
Yeah, there's...
Perfect.
You've got manual and you've got electric. You flick a switch and it goes up or down.
They have bamboo, the spectrum is huge. They have very attractive. They have them that are lateral, they're bamboo, and they just open and close, just the different woods. They're beautiful.
No, that's from Locker Clean Out. I just recycled the stuff.
So I can continue to do that. I think I've got the same view that you do, Pat.
That's not
If
mine.
this is not acceptable to her, I don't know what the next option is on that. And I guess I'll pose the question that I posed before. I don't know where this ends.
Have we ruled out plantings
No, but it's,
You'd have to have them in the direction that, if you're sitting, the light actually comes at an angle like this. So you'd have to have them awfully tall to block out any type of that bright, go ahead, Nate.
Has anybody thought of maybe a blind that comes down behind the lights?
There's no place, this is from across the field,
Peter
and it's like,
suggested
there it
that.
is, right in front of you.
Do you know where the corner of Daniel Drive is, the new house?
Yeah.
It comes in on the porch. If you're sitting, yes, if you're sitting on the porch, it's not the light around you.
Yeah, it's not the spillage.
It's not the spillage. I could not talk to Peter this way because it would be like high beams in your face because of the lights that are facing Daniel Drive. They're LED or whatever. They're extremely bright.
It's like the sun being in your eyes when you're driving down the road.
It's very, very
It is
bright.
amazing. But I think this is the avenue to pursue. And I don't know the answer to your other question. I'm not sure what the answer is. I think before I come up with an answer, I'd like to pursue this alternative because I do think it is a very good solution.
Well, I don't know. The other question to me is, where do we stand with the planning board on this? I mean, you have to come up with is it a reasonable?
Well, if you look at the language, technically, according to the diagram, which it says here someplace, I think they're in compliance. But what was promised verbally, probably not. So I think we're standing on a fence, and we need to jump one way or the other.
Do we want to sit down with Tanis and invite her son with us and just sit down and
I'm glad. I'm glad to
show
sit down
options
say,
and
look, these are the options. We have 2 exterior and 1 interior option. We're glad to work with your interior designer. In terms of your question on where we stand with the planning board, there's a compliance hearing in late October where we're going to determine compliance or not. There's 2 issues on the table. One is the electric box issue with Mr. Jones, that's Plensum arborvitaes, excuse me, and fix that. I'm not worried about that compliance issue. But, the October 23rd piece of the lights in Tanis, that's the one that I'm most worried about.
so, how about if Peter drafted an email to Tanis, we forwarded it along, and we met with...
Why don't we talk to her face-to-face and see if she'd do a sit-down with Peter?
Okay.
The alternative...
I think face-to-face in this instance would work better.
Okay.
The alternative is Beth Sheehan. Beth represented to me that she had a very good chat with Tanis.
Yeah, it was great.
And it might be that Beth goes up and meets with her and just says, hey, I'm handling this now.
What's it going to take?
I don't
Perhaps.
think
Well, maybe
she's
the
ever
both-
met you, has she?
No.
Well, maybe the
I don't
both
think
of
she'd
you.
have an issue.
You're a very nice person.
I don't think
I
that...
think so, but...
So I don't think you're
it's you
intimidating.
that's the issue. I think it's according to the email, it said the engineers misled you, and for the spillage and so on and so forth, but I don't think that that's the issue at all. I think really, sincerely, I think that if we went up and Catherine and I can go up and talk with her and see where we go from there. I find it very difficult to understand that the son, when we knocked on the doors and said, hey, are you having an issue with this? And no issue at all. And he came out that night we were out there with Joe and them. No, I'm enjoying the game. It's like
He was out on Friday night.
my own, direct TV right there, watching the game. And that's okay, but it's not okay for Mom, and I just... I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. I will be more than happy to sit down with her and get a meeting soon
Yeah.
with you and go over some, and Beth, and some designs, and see what she thinks.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that too. And, we're willing to support the installation of it and do those pieces. I get a little worried about what kind of precedent that sets for the rest of the neighbors.
Well, you can have language in there that it doesn't.
But,
You have contacted every one of those. The planning board sent out notice for abutters coming in with the lights going up and everything. Everybody knew that was coming out. And it's been just about a year, a little bit over a year, right?
a little bit less than
a little bit less than a year. So you have, if any one of the neighbors by now were going to complain, I would think that they would come forward and complain. Now, I did get a resident up on Daniel Drive complaining on the music today. By the way, Pat, they saw me walking at Main Street, they came right out of that hairdresser and said, by the way.
She did. She did.
You get.
Could we do something about that?
Stay off Main Street.
Stay off Main Street, right. It was a little loud, and it kept, it would stop and then start. Well, that's what a game is all about. You stop and start the game and continue it. But for every person that I've gotten a complaint, I've heard many people say it's so good to hear that kind of energy in that neighborhood. So it's just, every time someone says, no, I don't like it, I get 10 that say, oh, that's just exaggerating. I get 5 that say, I really love the energy. It's nice to see it go by and see a game going on.
I think it is good, and I know at the end of the day, I can't keep everyone happy. I know that, but I want to try and see if I can.
You've certainly gone further than I would have.
Well, I live on Maple Court, and I get...
Oh, help yourself, please.
I live on Maple Court, so I get a double whammy with the fireworks on Riverfront.
Yeah.
My dogs go wild. And my dogs heard the music on Maple Court for, a few seconds, and then I couldn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really that, for me. If I could hear it, I would say, yeah, okay. I guess Jane heard it with the Winnisquam, but...
We're going to try and turn the speakers, on the other side of the field, and have it go towards the grandstands instead of out.
So if I get a call from Rhoda, I'll know it's really loud.
You'll get a call from Jones.
Yeah.
Jones will be like, what's the deal with the music? So, but,
Rhoda will think there'd be a party going on.
Yeah, check them out.
so let's, I will wait to hear from you,
Okay,
and I will bring Beth with me
okay.
in the meeting, and we can host it at school. Glad to do that. If she'd like her, we can come to her house and show her what we have. And then we can see if we can wiggle our way to a solution with this. And I think there's full light blocking options, there's partial light blocking options. And we can follow her lead.
What is your availability? Day, afternoon, evening?
This is the number one issue
Okay.
in my life right now, Catherine.
I don't know how you do it. I just don't know how you do it.
I would say my availability can be pretty good. Evenings are the best. I'm starting to hit my high travel season, so the sooner the better, I would say. I mean,
Yep.
I can meet her tomorrow night. So we have a game tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah, girls, might be the girls' soccer game. I forget. I can't keep it straight. I got no idea.
Am I hearing from you that you can't keep it straight? I thought you were so good at that.
I was going, well,
I admire that in you.
there's hope for me.
All right.
All right, thanks for your time, you
All
guys.
right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep, I'll wait to hear from you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Good to see you. Those candies?
They're right down here at the health food store.
They're awesome.
And now we know what to bribe you with.
They're great for traveling.
Cheaper.
Great for traveling, yeah.
It's such a
Ginger.
nasty word.
All right, come on now. Sorry, Nate.
Try again.
It is what it is.
Sorry, Joyce. Okay, so, we got a lot going on up there.
Always.
Yep. Oh, he did not give me the cars. Do you have that?
On the second sheet.
Oh, he's got it, never mind, he's got it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
We have
I
it on
had-
the back sheet, but
I
we'll
had
have
asked
to get,
for where's what, who's out of line, what's,
Maybe we could have Arthur now weigh in on this and tell us the condition of each one of these. This doesn't give us mileage.
well, on the Google it does, but you've been updating with the mileage ones, right?
Yeah, I've taken over the fleet completely. Got a background in automotive mechanics and motorcycles and snowmobiles and everything else, so.
So what's your opinion of just trying to fix what's wrong with the 6B and putting that back online, or do you think we should take the motor out of that and put it into the Chiefs and put the Chiefs back online?
The 6B or the?
The one that's at the station now, the one that we bought, the 15 replaced, the 5A replaced. Yeah.
The 4A.
No, it's a 6. C.
Oh, the 6C.
C.
That's down a highway right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
Which isn't actually listed on here, right?
right.
No, because
It's a parts car.
it's been taken out of
Yeah.
service.
Huh? Yeah?
120,000 miles on it.
Take the engine out.
Yeah.
It's not the one out back that they took the one?
It's starting to get some cancer on it.
Yeah,
Essentially, Bill was using it to go back and forth to school, using it to school. So it had very limited use, very low mileage were being put on it. What myself and the captain had been discussing up until this point is we
Yeah.
have so many details coming in right now.
yeah,
We don't have enough cars for detail officers. And because the town makes money free and clear on
to
the
pay for the
vehicles,
cruises, right.
you know, if we have to sub out to a different agency,
We're not getting that money.
up to $200 and some odd dollars a day, where these cruisers are generating this income to help defray costs.
With all these cars,
tow the one from the highway
how can you not
Down every day.
a car for detail?
Actually,
We've got two cars dedicated
Let's
for
listen to
details,
him. Thanks.
which are the two oldest ones, the 6B and the 2010. What's been happening lately is we're getting requests because they're doing the Taco Bell. Eversource is continuing doing the upgrades to the infrastructure on Clark Road, Colby Road, Caleb Hill Road. So they're requesting officers every week. And we've also got Asplin that's going out doing trimming for Eversource. So there's 3 right there. We just got, so we've had those details going right along for, pretty solid for about the last 3 months.
Yeah,
Lately, Liberty Utilities has been contacting us for filling.
So you have an inordinate amount of details at this point.
We've got a lot going on, that's correct. Yep. And so, you know, with that, if we don't have a car for an officer, they can't fill the detail, because that's essentially what the companies are looking for, the visibility out there.
Okay, so as far as I understand, you have, how many officers do you have on a shift? 2 or 3? Forget the supervisor.
wait.
Patrol.
That's
Right now, because we're shorthanded,
Public safety.
sometimes 2. Right now, with me here, I've got 1, and he's training a trainee.
So it varies.
Yeah. But during the daytime,
So that's 2. 1
2.
for the supervisor, that's 3. Detectives. I still have an extra car. I have 2 extra cars.
The prosecutor doesn't seem to have a car here, does he?
Prosecutor doesn't have a car. He will
No.
take a car if there's one available.
Right.
Why can't the prosecutor use either the one we have at Highway, because they could use the truck, or the one that we have out here, because he needs to go to point A to point B?
Personally, I don't think prosecutor needs a car because he gets reimbursed mileage. It's 2 miles to the Franklin District Court, one way, 2 miles back. When I first started, I used my POV to go back and forth to court.
What happens if he's on his way back from court and there's a call, and that he could go to that call, but he can't in a personal vehicle?
Well, he doesn't normally respond to that stuff anyway.
Rare occasion? Rare occasion?
Rare occasion, but is it necessary? No.
Okay.
But what's happened in the last week, I had to get all the cruisers that have the MP plates on them inspected. The state changed the inspection months on us. So I spent the entire day yesterday, actually the last 2 days, working on getting the cruisers up to AutoServe to get them inspected. What I was trying to do is get them pre-inspected so we could get them ready to go before I took them up, so that we wouldn't have an issue where a cruiser's out of service because it didn't pass inspection. I'm going to be totally honest with you here. Dennis Allen had been fighting me every time I try to have Arthur do that, because when I ran a service shop, when a vehicle's on a lift is when you inspect things like brake linings, fuel lines, things like that. It's a safety inspection. And if you see something while it's on a lift, that's the time to take care of it. Not wait until you pay $50 to get a car inspected. Now it's down because you can't run it. So that's what I've been fighting. What happened was I got the 3B up there, that went through, took the 3A up, called me back. 3A had a water pump go out on it, and it didn't pass the state inspection because there was a left side that was too loose. It didn't pass the safety portion of it. Luckily, I got the cruiser up there. It's still under 100,000 miles. It's still under warranty. Got that all taken care of. The issue with the water pump, it's buried inside the engine, which is turned like this, so you can't service it like you normally would with a traditional V8 facing the front. So the entire front suspension engine cradle had to come out of it in order for them to do it. Luckily, they were able to get the parts the following morning. John, up at AutoServe there, VIP'd it. He kept it on the lift. He had his head technician working on it. I went up the next day to bring the 6B in to get it inspected at 8 o'clock in the morning. He took me into the service bay. They already had it down and out of the car. Pulled apart, just waiting for the water pump to come in. So that was pretty good. I have a pretty good background in this stuff, and they buried the water pump in behind the cams and gears, which means you got to take all that off in order to get the pump out. Then when you put everything back together, you got to put the gears back on with a change. You have to time everything with the cams. Normally that's, on average, a 20 to 24-hour job to do something that intensive. So they were able to get it turned around in a day and a half, which was pretty good. So I just picked that up tonight, so that's back in the line. So now I'll be able to reassign a car for the SRO, because I understand there was some heat that came down from the school system.
Because they're under contract
Yeah.
with us, they pay for a car.
Unfortunately, if I don't have a car for officers to respond to emergency calls for our citizens, the school's just going to have to understand that's what happens.
Well, they get a credit.
And I had to make that call.
Yeah.
So, I'm the bad guy, I'll take the heat, but I had to have a car to back Matt Dawson up, because he was working the street, and I was his backup.
Question. For details, can we pick up a magnetic mount LED set of lights and use either the car here or the highway one as a detail car. It's the same, it's a Crown Vic. If it has the blue lights, you'll have a uniformed officer.
Yeah, I don't know if they stripped those out as far as radio goes and all the lighting circuitry. If they did, then it would have to be rewired, which is...
Plus, it's a magnetic mount, just like in your cigarette lighter type.
Cigarette lighters don't work.
He's not talking about the standard police.
I'm not talking a full, but like what, a lot of plow guys use magnetic mounts on theirs.
Well, the issue comes down to is the companies don't want an unmarked car, they want a fully marked police cruiser.
They're paying the full freight.
Yeah. And, people
Little lights that
recognize
do
a
anything.
police cruiser as a police cruiser.
So it'll be helpful if we decide what to do with the chief's car.
Well, it's my understanding we have another cruiser sitting up back near the brush piles.
It was suggested to us to
That's
fix
junk.
there's 2 cruisers down there. One is a parts car. One is one that didn't pass inspection because of rust.
6C, I think, right?
6C had the cancer.
So it was suggested to us to take the motor out of that and put it into the chief's car.
Which is what we're in the process of doing until another suggestion came that perhaps maybe we can just put that one on the road, use that as a detail.
Yeah, and that's what Captain and I were discussing. As far as what the cancer is on that car, if I remember correctly, most of the Crown Vic will rot out around the front wheel arches.
Oh, well, that's
believe
replaceable.
That's what it was. I can source an aftermarket Crown Vic front fender for around $120 to $150, and then it's just time spent having it painted and taking the old one off the car, putting the other one on. I have rebuilt my pickup truck, the entire front end, everything. I've had everything off. I mean, that stuff that I do, it's not all that hard. It's essentially just time spent taking rusted bolts out and,
The damage that was caused to the chief's car from the spark plug, do you have to replace the whole motor, or can you just replace?
Well, what we would have to do is we would have to do a certain amount of disassembly on that in order to find out just exactly what was damaged. That electrode that came off dropped in, and you've got a piston that's moving up and down in that cylinder like this.
Yep.
And that electrode's a little piece of metal about yay big, goes in there, hits the top of that piston. Now, it can do one of a bunch of things. When it happened to the 6B, we got lucky, and it was popped out through the exhaust valve and out through the exhaust, and it didn't do any damage. And Arthur was able to helicoil the hole in the head and get a new plug in it, and away we went. Unfortunately for the chief's car, that didn't happen. That electrode dropped down in there, it got on the crown of the piston. It sounds to me from talking with Arthur, it moved over to the side of the piston where it got lodged on the edge of the crown where the rings are, gouged into the side of the cylinder. And at that point, it's pretty much destroyed the piston and the cylinder. Now, depending on how bad the cylinder is, you can replace a piston. It's not a big issue. A lot of those you can do right in the car. You drop the oil pan out of it. You unbolt the piston from the crankshaft. You can pull it right out through the bottom. But if the cylinder's damaged, then you're talking either re-sleeving the cylinder or overboring it, which is a machine shop thing. And then what they'd have to do if they were going to do that is you'd have to punch every hole out to keep the engine balanced. So you're talking a rebuild of the entire engine. Or another option would be to get a remanufactured engine, which a Ford 4.6 liter V8 right now, there's a place down on the seacoast that does reman engines. They're about $2,000. And it's pretty much the long block. All you do is you take all your intake and ignition stuff, swap them over, put it in, get it running.
So does putting $3,000 into the chief's car make sense to you?
Well,
it's not been driven hard.
It's basically got a lot of highway miles on it, which highway driving is a lot easier than around town driving any day of the week.
Start, stop, go.
Yeah. So really the only thing you're thinking about is things like wheel bearings, which are fairly easily replaced. Axle bearings, they're a little bit tougher to do, but it's not impossible, and Arthur has a lot of, experience working on the Crown Vics. Rear-wheel drive, American V8 type vehicle, they're pretty easy to work on. You've done a few of them, it's basically just time spent, maybe some special tools, which a lot of times you can rent nowadays.
So if we put in a couple grand in for a new motor, well, a reman motor,
Manufactured engine, and most of the time they'll come, the place down on the seacoast, I think it comes with a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty.
did that, and...
We'd have 2 cars?
200, we'd have $200 for quarter panels or the wheel hubs there. We could have 2 cars instead of just one.
Yeah, it's feasible. I mean, I can do a little research and try to come up with some solid numbers, but I'm usually, I work on my Jeep all the time. I got my 2 Dodge pickups that I'm always working on, so I keep an eye on what prices are. So that's about the going rate on it.
What do you think? That sounds...
Get her done.
The 2 of them?
Yeah.
We do the 2?
Be short of detailed cars.
If that works for Arthur, I think it works for me. That sounds like the
Could you research that,
financially
Nate, and
best
look at the
way.
condition of that car down there to make sure that it is feasible?
Yep.
That'd be
Yeah.
excellent.
If we
We can
spend,
bring Arthur in.
we're talking about spending $3,000 to put another car on the line, how much, $2,000, but fenders,
Put 2 cars on the line.
well, to put the one car on the line, we'd swap an engine, right? We have the engine.
For the parts, approximately $2,000.
And to have the 2 cars online, to add the additional car would cost $2,000 to $3,000. After we pay out the detail, how much do we actually put into our replacement car fund? If we miss a couple details,
This can be significant.
Because that's what pays for our new cruiser the next year. We have enough to make a whole payment, a lease payment, for our cruiser.
But we've always
It's
had
around about 18,000 to 20,000 a year.
What do we bill out at?
65,
And what does the officer get?
40.
So we're making 25 an hour, ballpark,
25.
less fuel and, so even if you say, say $20 even.
So about 25, and how many, we were just operating off of how many detail cruisers before?
2.
2, so now we'll have 3?
Yep.
So we'll still be getting the same amount theoretically that we had for the 2, we're just adding more. Will we be seeing a significant amount more revenue that's generated from adding the 1 cruiser if we're not always utilizing that? Is it, like you said, seasonal, they're doing the tree trimming and things like that.
Unfortunately, I can't predict what the details are going to be.
Yeah.
Right now, we are in a significant glut of them. Anytime there's any kind of construction going on Route 3, pretty much there's going to be an officer out there with a car. I don't know how much more work they have at the Taco Bell, but I do know they were calling for up to 3 officers a day. That's 3 cruisers, not to mention what we had going on out on the side streets and the other roads. Because what they were doing is they were realigning that entire intersection. They're putting up temporary lights, and I went up to the meeting for that. There were actually 5 different companies up there that I was trying to get information from to try to find out if we could coordinate, what we were going to have to outlay for assets as far as an officer and a cruiser, and I couldn't get a straight answer because everybody was on their own page and they weren't communicating. So
Sounds like a
$150
construction
a day,
site.
John, it doesn't take too long to cover our costs. on
T-Bell
getting
opens,
those
what,
up.
next week? So that's covered. What other projects do we have that are big coming up?
Well, Asplund is periodic.
Asplund is going to be until the snow falls.
Aspen will be around town.
They come in and out
A
all
long
the time.
time, a long time. They're huge in our details, huge.
And
PSNH, Eversource.
They're hand in hand. Usually whenever Eversource is out there doing line work, Asplin is somewhere running where they're going to be moving to next.
Yep.
So what they're doing is they're trimming out so that the guys can get in to do the maintenance or, whatever repairs are going to need to be done. So they kind of go hand in hand. So when Asplin calls for details, we know Eversource at some point is going to be contacting us for...
How about the other option? A lot of departments are retiring a lot of the Crown Vics. Maybe we could pick one up that's already set up with the lights for details. I know you don't always know what you're getting, but, to take a look at that, if that's, after you get the numbers on the end.
What are you going to do, go to the state auction? I got one coming up in, October?
The other side
I'd
of
rather
that,
put my bet on what we
know.
is known.
Yeah, we've
We
got a
know
known quantity, we know...
how their maintenance-
The 6C Cruiser, yeah, it was old, but it was still running good. It was just an issue of how much do we invest to repair cancer, to get it, state inspectable, to continue running it. And since we were getting a new car, it was kind of said to us, well, you got to get rid of this one to get this one. So, it's a constant juggling act.
and then you would be safe in numbers that the prosecutor, on the days that it's not being used as the detail, has that vehicle.
Yeah, we can let them use that. And normally, we have the 3B, which is, the one that we just retired from first line. The 4A was dropped back to the second line, and the 5A is there now. So we've got the 3B. We're trying not to run it so much that we go over 120 miles because we have the extended warranty on it up to 120 miles. So we're kind of keeping that in reserve. So when we have a catastrophic failure like the 3A just had, we have something for the officers to be able to go out and patrol in, which you need to understand. We need to have that, redundancy, because if we don't, what do?
We're out of cards.
We're out of cars, we can't respond. I've used my own POV before to go back officers up.
Yeah.
That's how it is. I mean, it's a responsibility, I have to the other officers.
I think we should fix those two cars.
I think that we need to find out what the cost would be to redo the lights on that one, the C.
It's still got the lights on.
Oh, it does?
Everything's still in it.
It's a
Oh,
crap.
well, then I'm in for
Just
that.
fix the fender wells.
I'm in for that then, because I would think that would be,
Yeah, we could take that, we could re-register it.
and get a
Insurance
remand
on
for,
it. It's back out there.
And it-
Like I said, we addressed the cancer issues. Like I said, if I recall, that's where most of the rust was. I don't know if there was any more anywhere else, but it's easily fixed.
and then we could remand the chiefs and get that back.
Yep.
So you check on the remand and the pricing and all
And
that?
I'll get together with Arthur and
Yep.
see if he
Wonderful.
has any companies that he's dealt with before. Like I said, I know of this company on the seacoast, they do remand engines,
Yep.
but I have never had any dealings with it, so.
Yep.
But there's a number of companies out there, what I call my comic books.
Yep.
I get the automotive hot rod magazines and
Yep.
stuff like that, and there's advertisements for hundreds of
Yep.
things like that, so I can research that a little bit. So where we stand right now, as far as cruisers, I've got to get the front brakes done on the 2010
Yep.
in order to get a sticker on that. They also told me these aren't safety-related things, but they're longevity-related things on the 2010, where the AC condenser is cooled by the transmission fluid. So what it does, it goes in and it circulates around, removes BTUs of heat from the condenser in order to cool the refrigerant, and that goes out into the transmission cooler to cool it down. And I've been getting complaints from the guys over the summertime that the AC wasn't working real well in it, so I kept having Arthur check the percent of charge of the refrigerant, and it kept coming back, it was fine. So this is what the problem's been. And the only issue with that could really cause a huge failure of the transmission is, had we not found that, transmission fluid got low enough, it can burn a transmission up.
Yep.
So I'm going to have Arthur take a look at that and see what we need to do to address that. I'm almost thinking if it's leaking from the condenser, we're probably going to have to replace that. I don't have an idea what a replacement condenser is going to be, but if I had to make an educated guess, it's probably going to be somewhere north of $400. And the front sway bar bushings are worn, so all that means is the sway bar is going to be hitting the frame and causing a knocking. Those are parts, I can do it right in the parking lot up there with a floor jack. Done a number of them. I can get Moog ones from like Bond Auto for about 10 or 15 bucks a side and do both of them in about a half hour.
So they run the transmission fluid through the... Is that under warranty, that car, or mechanical?
No,
Or if they should
Like
look
an
into putting a
88
bigger transmission cooler in there too at the same time, but
Well,
bigger.
actually, it should work all right, it's just that leaking is what causes
Yeah, the leaking needs to be fixed, but that's...
It's actually, when you think about it, it's actually a pretty ingenious way to
Pretty
cool that.
fastidious.
Because instead of adding another cooler somewhere else, you're using an existing cooler and you're using fluid that's already going out to get cooled down.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, when you get a leak like that, then you have a problem.
Yep.
I wasn't too long-winded on that.
No, it was
It's a
good.
better
Good.
explanation than I've received in 5 years of sitting here.
Good information.
Yeah, it's nice to have somebody who's knowledgeable on
So
vehicles.
now we know who to go to for vehicle.
You might have just hung yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
He's got the answers. Okay, so this is the chief's report.
Organized retail crime, Catherine,
I looked it up.
For your,
with the
He
acronyms.
looked it
I
up.
looked it up.
for your report back to the chief, October 5th at 7 a.m., they're starting the paving on the PD lot.
I thought it was 6.
No.
Nate will get it right. We were going to tell the chief the 6, so he'd be ready for 7.
and John Chambers is doing that. Known the entire Chambers clan all my life, so John's a real hard worker.
Yeah, so they'll,
There was something I saw in the paper 2 days ago that they want to start charging us for some of the free trainings. Did you see that?
You talking about the academy?
The academy.
Police standards and training, they've deleted a few of the courses that the state had been picking up the charge on because of a lack of funding.
Yeah, and they attributed that to not having enough revenue from tickets,
We
traffic
need more
tickets.
criminals, yeah.
Or, I guess, I don't know.
the state
Do
gets a
we-
portion of that ticket money.
Yeah, and they said that the revenue from the tickets are going down. Do we track, like, what our amount of tickets have gone out in categories over the last, like, 3 years?
We must meet our quota.
John, please don't encourage him. Please.
I hope nobody's watching this, because
They are watching.
There are some
You want
who watch
me-
every
you
Go
want me
out there and
taxes or
violate
tickets?
the motor vehicle
Scott.
laws. We need more money for
Support
tickets.
your state.
watching.
Because the state is
I know
the
this is
state
gonna
of
be
New
trouble.
Hampshire. They fee us to death.
Yeah.
Have a lot of taxes, but they like feeing everything. So what they take a percentage of every summons that's issued,
Yeah.
that gets paid. Now, that doesn't count the ones that people fight in court and get thrown out or whatever. But they also get monies from fines imposed by the court system for not just traffic fines, but for criminal cases. Unfortunately, and I don't know if you watched Channel 9 this morning, but what's been happening, I can tell you from my own perspective, going to court and dealing with these cases, we put a lot of time and effort to arrest people. We investigate to make sure we get the right people, bring them before the court. What happens is they get sentenced, and a lot of the theft crimes right now, they boosted the threshold up a couple of years back so that everybody's not facing a Class A misdemeanor every time they committed the crime of theft. So now you have to reach $1,000 in, theft before it turns into a Class A misdemeanor. So now keeps everything at the fine level. You're not facing any jail time. So
Except?
what has happened is you're getting a lot of these people, and everybody knows it's out there, There's a lot of opiate abuse. A lot of the crime that we are facing right now is because of the opiate abuse problem.
fallout from
And this
it,
was
yeah.
all started by the medical profession after federal government told them they weren't treating pain correctly. So what's happened is you're getting a lot of the thefts and all this stuff, and they're junkies. And so what happens is they get brought before the court. Well, they don't hold a job, they don't have any money. So when they go to sentencing, well, they're not facing jail time. So now what do the judges have to do? Well, they have to set up a fine payment system. And I can tell you, probably 97 or 98% of the people who are ordered to pay their fines through a payment plan don't make payments.
And then
I
they
just
go
got out
back
of
and
court.
tie it up,
I'm
yeah.
not making payments. And usually, their payments are minuscule. I've seen them
$10 a week.
$5 a week that they're supposed to pay to probation or parole, which is overwhelmed because they have few officers to follow up on this stuff. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. And so what's been happening is you're getting these judges that are dealing with the same people over and over and over again for not paying their fines, and they're starting to put them in jail. Well, now you get the ACLU that's coming along saying, you can't put them in jail for fines.
They can for contempt of court, can't they? Isn't that what this comes down to?
Well, and what Judge Kelly came out and said is, obviously there's checks and balances, which I believe in, and I know Judge Gordon does it down here all the time. Before he imposes any kind of jail time on somebody for non-payment of fines, they have a fine payment hearing, so that they're going to gather the information from probation, parole, and the clerk of the courts, and whoever else is involved in this stuff, to find out, has this person been trying to make fine payments? Have they in good faith at least contacted the court to say, listen, I'm in dire straits here, But a lot of them, they just totally ignore it. They got out of court, they don't have to face any jail time, they're going like this to everybody. So what happens is the taxpayers are picking up all of this.
So they're covering for that, which is...
That's what's happening. So the revenue is dropping, and, and I'm not saying it's not our fault if we don't issue the tickets, then the revenue isn't going in. But I am not one to believe in, just going out and arbitrarily, enforcing the law with a heavy hand. I try to educate people, try to educate the driving public. And I base a lot of what I do as far as handling, a traffic situation. I base it on, does this person have any kind of poor driving history? And if somebody doesn't have any history at all, and they rolled through a stop sign, I'm not inclined to write them a $74.44 ticket. So,
If somebody doesn't know how to drive and continually does it.
yeah, and you find those, and
So it's more to the story than just not local
Yes.
police offering tickets?
Yeah,
Because I read that in the Sun, that basically it was the police departments weren't
well,
issuing
the
enough
state
traffic
likes to lay
tickets.
blame on everybody else, is
Yeah.
what happens. But
Oh, and they do it well.
and we don't want a society, though, with a police force that has no discretion. If you take the discretion away from the officers,
I agree.
it just gets real bad.
Yep. Nobody
yeah,
knows
thanks
the
for-
Once
situation
it
you're
doesn't
in.
become a free-for-all.
Right. All right, does anyone else have any questions for Nate?
I have one.
Okay.
Can you train your officers on the use of the Opticon? It's amazing to watch them try to navigate exit 20 with lights and siren, and the lights haven't changed, and...
I can tell you right now,
Yeah.
that's not a foolproof system.
Okay.
In my own experience. A lot of it comes down to where your cruiser is in relation to the light, brightness of the daytime, anything that's in your way, such as large trucks.
Okay, when I'm seeing them, there's nothing big in front of them, and...
But what happens is, I've noticed, in order to get a lot of those in that area to trip, we're actually trying to go through turning lanes. And when we're responding, we can't.
Go into the turning
Back in the day, as soon as you crested the interstate all the way to Tanger, and almost to the 99, switched like that.
It seems like it did somehow, because I followed some of those.
Yeah,
No,
it
it
depends on where you're your light is in relation to that, but I have it an awful lot where it won't change, and I can't just sit there and wait for the lights to change.
No, I
A lot of
understand.
times,
but-
I will come to almost a dead stop because I've got
Sure.
16-plus years patrolling through here, so I know people aren't listening for sirens. Most of the time, they got their windows up and the stereo's cranking, so they don't hear us anyway, and so it makes it very hard to navigate through that area.
That's why I don't like the raised islands. I'd rather you just paint them, and that way that gives you another avenue to try to navigate.
I actually like them, and I wish they'd run them all the way up through Home Depot, because we get so many car crashes.
They try to go.
Irving, they're trying to cross 6 lanes of travel. They'll have one car stop, waving them out, and they
Oh, yeah.
don't realize, oh, there's 4 more lanes there. They start coming out, and there's a car coming along, bang, just like that. So if you go to like Manchester, Hooksett, they've got a lot of those traffic island dividers. It is what it is. I mean, we've got so much density of population now with so many cars out there, so you just gotta do what you gotta do. But I teach my guys to drive safely. I have caught them going too fast, and I address it with them, you know, but again, we're the guys that run toward bullets, not away from them, so it's hard to rein back when you're
It's
responding.
understandable, yep.
So responsibility of the supervisor is to pay attention and adjust attitudes when needed.
I see you'll be on vacation. I didn't realize we gave sergeants vacation time.
I doesn't think that was in the contract.
I didn't either.
It's in the fine print. You should have read the fine print.
Well, you're going to have to deal with my daughter, because I made a promise that if I made it through everything I had going on and I
Yep.
lived, I was going to take her on a Disney cruise. and
Great for you.
that's where we're going.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Have fun, buddy.
Have lots of fun on that one. That's going to be a good
I'm
one.
very grateful you're going.
You can't tell you how grateful we are for you to be here, trust me. All right, any other questions?
We'll sit here and talk to everybody.
I know. I think you've done a really bang-up job. We should do the report every week. Anybody else have any questions for Neil?
So, I got a question about in the major crimes section. The detectives, I know they're like, they've got all sorts of things going on, but they're going to be working with Belknap County Sheriff detectives, or just detectives in the Belknap County area, or both?
We work with pretty much every law
Yeah.
enforcement agency,
Okay.
either Belknap County, Merrimack County. I mean, when I had a more active part in it, we were taking down crimes across the state.
You still do, from what I understand.
Yeah, and hopefully, once I get my punch lists whittled down, I'm going to be able to assist them some more. I'd like to become more proactive with my position. I'm going to be able to adjust my schedule around a little bit more, go in plain clothes to help them out, because we've got a few places we're surveilling. We're trying to, develop enough so that we can get effective search warrants and do what we need to do
Nice.
to hammer on them. But it does take time. People need to
Yeah.
understand.
It takes time.
Yeah, it
Yep.
takes a lot of time, a lot of efforts, a lot of times we're out there on our own time, we're just doing it because, it is what it is.
So, and I know that Manchester and Point South are in an epidemic. 6 more overdoses last night in Meredith and now in Manchester, and I was wondering if that is translating into we're having the same, like, regular overdosing and stuff like that, and
Not on the
just,
same scale, but
well,
it's
not 6
happening.
a day or whatever, yeah, but we haven't lost anybody recently, I hope.
Not
So if you
recently.
compare our population with Manchester's, it might be an interesting percentage.
Yeah, well, we've had a few at, a lot of it's our transient population.
Yep.
As we all know, we've got some hotels here, we've got some boarding houses, and that's primarily where you see a lot of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So if they do have an episode, if they have it there, we're involved in it. If they take off in a car and they happen to be on the highway and an episode occurs, then it's taken by either state police or whoever's jurisdiction it's in. So, because Tilton is in a
Crossroads.
we're in a unique position. We're sandwiched between two cities. We get the very same crime element that they do. and they're coming here and there, and we got the highway that people are jumping off in. So we do have that element. Luckily, sometimes because of the transients thing, they'll move along after they're doing the stuff. But, not only do we have the opiate addiction stuff going on, but we got human trafficking going on too. That's another area that
No,
we're gonna,
not
hopefully
allowed in Tilton. That's just wrong.
happens, and we've had some issues up at the Hampton Inn. And they're on Craigslist and, all that stuff, and that's, it's just part of the culture.
That's so sad.
For a little town in New Hampshire, it just seems like it could be better than this. And I'm really glad you guys are working on it.
We got a couple good ones coming on. Elizabeth is doing pretty well on her training. I had the opportunity this past weekend where Officer Trott was out on a night shift, and they happened to stop a car in front of my house, so I was able to critique some officer safety stuff, and, so I have that ability to keep eyes on.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
Good.
When does she start the academy?
January.
Sometime in the spring?
January, yeah.
Oh, good. I was thinking March or April. It's just like, made me cry. And Officer Appleby is...
He's coming right along.
Just about ready to hit
He's going to
the-
be out on his own October 1. So
Nice.
Oh, that's
he's
not that
saving us
far.
probably about $15,000 in training costs and stuff like that, being fully certified, and
Very nice.
he's got 16 years' experience, so he's
I've
on par.
had occasion to come into contact with him in his role as a police officer. No, he didn't arrest me. But he seemed like a really good addition.
He's squared away, and
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great addition. I'm hoping that he can step in and, be a positive influence on the younger officers. I hope he takes a leadership role, and he can, help bring the other officers up.
Is he making the transition from state police to regular policeman, in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I talked with him the other morning, as a matter of fact. I come in at 7, and he was getting off shift. And so I asked him, what he thought, and he's actually pretty excited, because as a trooper, you're pretty much just a traffic agent. You're out on the highway, you're doing that stuff. Now he's going to be exposed to a lot of what police work really is. I mean, that's not to say he didn't have that, because he patrolled the northern end of the state.
Oh,
So
how
they-
many cats did he rescue out of a tree? Or unlock somebody's door when it's pouring rain?
They do some criminal investigations, and they handle a lot of domestics up that way, so he's not totally green when it comes to doing local police work, but, things like retail crimes, he's going to be weak at, but I think he's going to be a quick learner. I think, with his experience, right there, I don't think it's going to be long before he's right into it, right up to his eyeballs in it. And I'm glad to have somebody to share in the misery, so.
And you're gonna have them start walking the beat.
Well, sometimes we do that, people don't see us.
Yeah.
Right.
You tell her.
It'll be pretty quick if they don't have enough police cars.
And merchants
Well, we got bicycles.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta
are
move
quick to
on
let
here.
us know when you're down.
Yeah, please.
Poor Joyce is, we're only 2 hours behind Joyce. Okay. Thank you very much for coming in, I appreciate it.
Thanks for your attentiveness and your understanding.
No,
This is my first time, so.
Oh, you did great.
That's why we were
Wonderful.
gentle. See you next time.
All right.
Later, thanks.
You don't need me anymore, I'll clear, get out
yeah.
there.
You're all set. Thank you.
With everybody.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you much.
Do you want to address this tonight in non-public? I think we can wait for the chief next week. I'm s-
Yes, I think it
I
could.
am so sorry for,
It could wait.
Just a couple things that need your attention. The auction.
yes.
Okay. These, I just double-checked, these are the same exact documents we've had with our Prospect Street sale and our Fonzie sale, Beach Street sale. So he wants to be able to release these to his people that have shown interest. This is the same purchase and sale agreement that we've used. Oh God, how many print? This I want Scott to look at. I mean, this is the one he wrote, but I'll have him look at all these things. But we did include in there that they, in the bidder's acknowledgement form and in the purchase and sale agreement, it says they're responsible for paying all of the 2015 taxes. As you know, our tax year starts April 1st, so in a normal transaction, when somebody would be at a closing, they would prorate the taxes from the date that the person purchased them. You can put whatever you want in a purchase and sale agreement. If they agree to it, they have to abide by it. So we want all of the taxes for 2015.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
Why? Have we done that in the past?
Because as a courtesy, we do, I mean, the taxes come due in July, but we make it a two-part bill and send the second half out in December.
Right. And we give them an estimate of, I mean, we should know by the time of closing, whoever goes out, we'll know exactly what the amount is. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a tax bill due until April next year. So, that's that. Now, this is the property disclosure form, and I went through and...
Do you need to sign, us to sign that, or no?
No, that's just for you to say, okay, yep. I'm
Only
gonna-
until it's sold.
This is that property disclosure form, and I checked it against the one we did with Beach Street and...
How far back did you go?
No, this is just about the hazardous waste and the lead
Oh,
paint.
okay. I thought you were going to say the water rights.
No, I'll get to that. We only have to do this on Noyes Road because there's a building. We don't have to do it for vacant land. And as you recall, you have to, all of you have to initial where it says seller's initials. There's 1, 2, 3 pages, and then on the 4th page, there's just a little box. You have to squeeze all your signatures in.
That's what, if we sell it, right?
No, this
no,
is ahead of time.
Yeah, we do this ahead of time, because they need to see this.
This is,
Is this a disclosure form?
Yes.
Because I was still looking at that when you
that's the
introduced it.
No,
disclosure.
I'm sorry, the buyer, when they purchase it, then they sign it.
I'm going to sign it before the day.
This is the disclosure.
That is the disclosure form.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's what I
And
had.
it just says unknown, 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 unknown. There's a part in there about the well. In the property record card file, there's some documents about a well, but we're not making any guarantees or promises. I don't know if that well's there.
We also don't know the condition of it.
Don't know, so I put, they have two choices. They can contact the Lockmere Water District to find out if maybe they're in the water district, I don't know. Or we private well, unknown.
Initial.
Yeah, I know what it says, but how the hell do we get the initials
You
in
got
there?
it next to mine. Put a comma, put next to mine.
Yes,
Look how
that's-
tiny I signed it over there.
I don't sign tiny, we're in trouble.
You got to sign tiny.
It's like tiny.
Pretend you're a
It's
doctor.
just ludicrous.
The next one, this is the flyer that goes
Don't have
out.
to do that one?
And when we were going through the deeds, without doing a full title search, which we just don't have time
That's frightening.
to do, I could not put on here that with water rights. He will discuss at the sale, or as people talk to him, there may be, but we could find no
How far back did you
Yeah,
go?
how far back did you,
Bruce that
No,
swatches
just how
there,
far
the
back did you go?
like what
By the
time
we're
frame?
done, it'll be-
Well,
Yeah, this all
say
goes
at
with
least
it.
to the 30s. Because what happened was, is this was all part of Noy's property.
Yes.
And the deeds go from stakes and
Several
stones.
places
Yep.
to sign.
Oh,
And then you go
more
to
of
another
these?
deed and it
Yep.
says
2 or
stakes
3 of
and
them.
stones. We couldn't find anywhere where it said accepting and reserving because it was subdivided and then subdivided again.
Only one per page, right?
Accepting
Yes.
and reserving rights to Silver Lake that were in the original Martell deed. So, but I can lay these all out for you tomorrow.
Missed one.
Interesting.
So, I mean, between now and then, we can do more research and we can always correct
Did you
it.
get
but-
to the original subdivision?
Is this a separate, or
Well, not the
This is a
original
separate thing
subdivision,
altogether.
no. I
do we
have,
need to sign it, because Pat didn't
No, that's fine, that's all I
start?
need to know.
Maybe Dari can research.
Yeah, he helped me a little bit, but this is this subdivision is what created the lot. And that was in 72.
You can't sign that.
I know.
So before this, it was just one big piece of land?
Yeah, that was all one piece of land.
What?
And
Well,
going back even
okay,
further,
but that was one piece of land.
Should have showed John all that.
Yeah.
right, so when
So
you
it
go
still
back,
could go, it's still, you could, yeah.
you still could, when you
Yeah.
read Martell's deed, he's got it in his deed. But not this one, not Fielding. And Fielding is the one that it came out, that
Right.
it went forward. So I think inadvertently, because when this was one whole lot, it had the water rights.
Oh, so one guy kept the
But
rights.
when it was
Run for
like,
Catherine.
well, when he
Initial
spoke to
there,
Sturgeon,
Catherine.
who has
Initial there.
Martell's, he said, oh yeah, it's got water rights. And then we said, oh, well, let's go see.
Sign there and sign that. Well, you can probably go to that seller side.
But remember, we're selling it as is,
Okay.
where is. We're making no
Yes, but the
guarantees.
value, if we did find it had beach rights, that adds to the value.
True, but that's going to go to Citizens Bank. Anything over and above our taxes goes to Citizens Bank.
Right.
All we care about,
We
That's
only
right.
need,
Is the
well, I
taxes.
haven't updated this.
and the penalty.
That's right.
We only
The
need
penalty.
maybe a little
Yep.
more.
Okay, that's
Try
right.
it.
I forgot, we don't get to profit.
And I just didn't want to spend any more time.
No, you know what, you're right, we don't get to profit, so.
Oh, they want to
So,
profit on this, but they would take
anyway,
profit
so I
earlier.
asked Greg to take that out.
Don't even get me started.
And we can do more research. He can tell people, yeah, you know, there's a good
Don't even get me
chance there
started.
may be. You know, somebody could always do a corrective deed to put it back in there.
Why do we have to be in the box?
So this is what I would just like to,
Stay within the lines. The lines are your friend.
it's all right with you guys?
No, they've never been my friend.
11 a.m. for
Should have seen it.
noise, and then 1 p.m. for high.
Yeah, well, at the bottom, he just said 11 and 1, so people wouldn't know where to show up.
I agree. Everyone agree?
Sure.
They put 11 a.m. noise,
Yeah,
1 p.m.
yeah.
I agree.
And that'll give it plenty of time in between.
And then on the High Street property, this gets a little confusing, but how can I make this not confusing? When Chris Harris bought the property from Clarita,
Yep,
okay, it was one parcel,
yes,
he subdivided it.
yes,
He never sold the parcel that we're tax deeding.
that's correct.
So the only time you would see a deed for a subdivided parcel is when it's conveyed. So there's no deed for 9-1,
Per se.
per se,
Yeah,
okay?
there will be.
We would give one.
I didn't get to squeeze
So-
my name in there, there was another
When-
box.
He did sell the house to someone. When it foreclosed on, I'm sorry, before he sold the house, it foreclosed on everything. the bank sold the house.
Okay.
And when it sold the house, it also sold the lot.
Well, they should have done more research, huh?
Right, so they did file a corrective foreclosure deed, which is in here.
All right.
But I'm not a good person reading deeds, because there's 3 deeds, so this, I definitely want Scott to look at, because he's gonna have to draw up the deed for it anyway.
Right. Dirty deeds. Done that cheap.
And
No,
one of the
let me
ways
get the
it got
lawyers involved.
found was because we had been sending a tax bill to the owner of lot, we had the owner of lot 9-1, the owner of lot 9.
Oh,
Because
hold on a minute.
it's been corrected.
Yes. But what about the deeding process and the leaning process? Were they going to the right places?
Yes. Because when the town received the correct deed, the foreclosure deeds,
Yeah.
yeah, this was August 24th of 2011 is the
Yep.
foreclosure deed. January 18th of 2012 is the confirmatory foreclosure deed. And February 16th, 2012 is the original.
But when we were sending the tax bill,
In 2012,
and then we weren't getting paid for the tax bill,
I'll tell you
was
what.
that information being sent to the right address?
Question. Let's see, that's 2015, 2015,
Am I right?
2013.
That's an interesting question, but it was sent to the address of record.
But if there was an improper deed,
It was sent to Federal National Mortgage Association, lot U79-1.
so it was
That
correct
was sent
in,
to the right people.
do we know that?
So my
These are the
question,
copies of the things.
All right, wait a
What's the
minute.
name of this one here? What is that title of that document?
Impending tax deed.
Okay, impending tax deed,
All right,
okay.
so-
This is notice of delinquent taxes, it was sent to Fannie Mae, and this is the notice of delinquent taxes,
That's Fannie Mae, though.
Federal National Mortgage Association.
Federal National Mortgage Association, wait a minute. Where's this coming from?
And this is, yeah, because we're doing the 2012.
Catherine, you're not eating chocolate,
And this
are
is,
you?
it's the right map and lot, and it's
God, we
sent to
better wrap this
the
up.
mortgage company.
I don't know, Joyce, I don't, a mortgage, wait a minute. No, because this says,
That's Noyes Road, that goes in that one. High Street.
this says Bank of America.
That's nasty.
Bank of
water?
America.
I liked them.
Those are good.
Yeah.
This says Bank of America,
No, yeah, notice
and this says
impending-
Federal Bank.
Where's your chew?
That's what I'm going for.
You know what, we can take this up tomorrow. Can we look at that? Because that may change I mean, Scott's going to have to find that out. Seriously,
Oh, God,
I
keep
wonder-
your fingers crossed.
All right, I don't want to get these things
That may
mixed up. This
they
is
may just-
Noyes
that may
Road.
just change
This
things.
is Noyes Road, and this is Noyes Road.
I'm sure he'll go over all the paperwork to make sure.
yeah, make sure that you tell them that that's the same thing that you just told us, because that may change the outcome of this.
Now, that property isn't any minimum bid, is it? You've got to have, well,
Yeah, all of them, both of them are minimum bid.
This is
How
High
so?
Street. This is the stuff that you
we didn't
reviewed
put
on,
minimum
right?
bids.
We haven't
on
done that
other
yet.
things.
Yes, we did.
Road, This is the office.
Prospect Street, we did.
No, we didn't get anywhere near what the minimum
No,
should
but
have
we
been.
went back into session there and upped the minimum, and lowered the minimum bid.
I see, I was,
Remember that?
no, because I was at Old Home Day.
Oh, yeah,
that's wasn't right. there.
Oh, we made a minimum bid, and then we went back in it. That's why we're required to be there.
So
'cause
there is a minimum bid on
Yeah.
the High Street property. All right.
We haven't
What is
set,
that minimum bid?
we haven't set that yet.
I see.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
what the turtle skins are.
Well, I could tell you that it's in the auctioneer's agreement. And this is Norris Road.
This is Noyes Road. How about High Street was the one I was thinking of.
Should be in there.
Oh.
And this one is High Street. Okay. All right. So that's where we are with those. And these.
Nope.
Holy crap. Okay,
Which one are you looking
that's a
at?
brief thing.
Liberty National Truck.
Okay, the certified flaggers course.
Oh, I see, $20,000.
These are the dates that are available, October 30th. Do we have a calendar handy?
Friday,
November 3rd, November 6th, November 13th, or
Friday,
17th.
Friday, and then like a Tuesday, if I recall.
November 6th, 13th, and
October 30th.
October 30th,
that's,
November 3rd, 6th, 13th, or 17th.
November 3rd is on a Tuesday.
30th is
The
on a
October
Friday.
30th is Friday. The 13th is on a Friday.
Ooh.
Trip to Decaphobia?
Go for it.
Not me. 13's my lucky number.
Maybe it's Triskaidekaphobia. It's one of the two.
13's my lucky number.
Is that your birthday?
Is that board's pleasure?
12.
What, for what?
To schedule the
This is-
flagging course at the
second
highway
12.
garage, and then we
Oh.
invite.
You and my,
I think, you know what, given the, there's I wouldn't schedule it the 13th because there's a holiday in there.
Right.
And, I'm sorry, I was trying to text, the chief wants to know if he should turn around and come back.
No.
Say sure,
said
we
no.
won't be here.
I said
We'll
no,
leave the light on.
but it's not going through.
Tell them we'll leave the light on.
It's just not going through.
God, let's go.
I would give plenty of time for the water company, Partridge, and you had, who else did you say beside that? Water company, Partridge,
What?
for Flagger,
You should talk to the others,
Reardon, Chambers.
Are you hearing any of this?
All the vendors for.
They're talking about contractors. but I don't know.
Flagger School.
Oh, see, we're not catching
That's
any of
what the
that.
November, she just gave those dates. Which date do we want? I don't, October 30th is the Halloween.
Call up.
Halloween downtown.
The 13th is the week where you have a holiday, right in, smack in the middle of the week. The guys are going to be playing catch-up.
Want to be a flagger?
Of, Columbus.
So did you say that, what?
Is it pay good?
Did it pay a lot of money?
The Flagger? Yeah, they usually pay about $10 an
Depends on who you're
hour.
working for.
But flaggers,
Yeah.
a little bit above minimum, not a whole lot. Not worth what you put.
November 6th, was that one of them?
Anymore, you can't find people to stand out there.
Well, that.
I would think November 6th would be,
Bathroom and all half the time.
Even Bradford.
I would say November 6th. How about November 6th? It's a
I
Friday.
think November 6th is a great idea.
Isn't that the Veterans Day holiday?
The 11th is the holiday.
Okay.
Veteran is, it's a Wednesday, and don't you celebrate it on that day? Right? So what other day do you have? Election Day is the 3rd.
Can't do it then.
So, the flaggers are, so Flagger School, so if you want to contact the others and get them going.
Why don't you talk to Public Works in Northfield, Samington, and Belmont?
Absolutely. Fire department, maybe? No?
I don't,
They wouldn't have any reason to have a flag or
I don't think they
problem.
Boot drive.
Sewer department?
oh, the
Either
boot,
boot drive.
it's illegal.
Well, yeah, they can hire somebody from Public Works.
All right,
How about the sewer department? Does the
Okay.
sewer
No, they're on the
department-
list.
They're on the list?
I was gonna start with water,
We
sewer,
already-
they're already
highway.
certified.
We're already,
See how many we have, because you guys are gonna sign
Certifiable.
up too, right?
Are we signing up?
Why not?
I might go just to see what's...
I might go, I might go to, yes, I might go. I wouldn't mind being a,
We're already
The
signed
flagger.
up for classes. And I think they've been paid for.
Oh, you've already signed up for the flagging?
I believe so.
Jane, keep this clean, please, we're in a session.
September 1st was the deadline for 2014 tax appeals to the Board of Tax and Land Appeal and to Belknap County Superior Court.
Yep.
So far, we have one BTLA, and it's Lakeport Rentals.
Really?
That's the one right up the street, right? And the other is, Belknap County Superior Court is continuation of the 2012 case that we have.
Okay.
The ongoing...
The RFP for the curbside collection contract and residential solid waste recycling and pay-as-you-throw has been completed and sent out. All of our licensed...
And who are they?
Oh, Catherine, you would ask me that right now.
Well, the state has about, what?
Waste management, the one that starts with G.
With what?
George.
Charles.
Nard. Casella. There's one other one, there's...
Capital?
Witcher?
Capital?
Yeah, we'll send it to Witcher. It should be on the website. Who is Capital? Atlantic. I don't know Capital.
What does Northfield do?
Witcher.
If we said it's the city of Franklin?
The only changes I made is I had to move the due date out a week.
Why don't
Was
we
I-
ask Franklin about the recycle if they are interested? I believe they have a truck that runs either 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah, you might find that some of these may not want to bid on the recycling, and Franklin may want our recycling, so you could have a two-part deal.
So Tim and I, the holdup was sitting down with Tim and doing the bid forms. If you go to page 10, that's how we set it up. So there's two options. Option one is what we currently have, and option two is doing pay-as-you-throw and recycling
Every other week.
all in one day. Recycling would still be every other
But one
week.
day for the entire town.
Yeah.
Option 2 is the Tuesdays.
Oh, that's right, the other side of the town one. I get it.
So the, before the bid deadline was October 15th, so I changed that to
Not even
October
flinching.
22nd. And Tim and I talked, and we moved your decision date, that you would make your award no later than, we moved the date from February to January, because the Budget Committee likes to hold their first public hearing in January. And so you should have the, you'd probably know by then, so you'd have something for the budget.
Okay.
And then just a brief, quickie, non-public, last thing, after you guys are done, just to fill you in on the Town of Tilton v. Town of Belmont Planning Board. I put the documents in the legal folder.
I read it.
Going through it pretty
That's all I have.
Our attorney made a good argument.
All right. What else do we have for Joyce? Anything? Going once? Going twice?
Let's see, did you get the email? I sent you, I thought there was a typo on one of the agreements for the Sullivan thing.
Yes, I changed invert to inlet.
Okay.
The reason I used the word invert was because that's what I heard Lisa
That's what the engineers refer
Say.
to them as invert.
I wasn't sure if that was a...
but inlet works for me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience at 2 hours later.
I got a lot of work done.
We have a birthday party at the Riverfront Park on Saturday, 9/26. Does anybody want to? It's from 11 to 5. What is Saturday? What day is
I would
Saturday?
do it, but I'm not going to be here.
Nor I. I'll be whooping it up in the Ozarks.
Did you say the Ozarks?
Yeah, but it's probably the Appalachians.
Aren't the
Well,
Ozarks
that's-
in Arkansas?
Yeah, they're further south. I'm in the Appalachians.
Okay.
Smoky Mountains, maybe.
So no one
even
else is
where
going
I-
to be...
What, are you going by balloon? You're not sure?
I don't know, I've never been there. I like to know how it works out.
Gail, if I can't do it... You're not, okay.
I'll have to check.
I may be able to do it. We were supposed to make an appointment Saturday morning. I don't know if that's been done or not. If it
Nobody's
hasn't,
available from parks.
no. They
What
emailed
day is
back
it?
Saturday.
This coming Saturday?
Yeah. I'm around, I just,
I think
have
I
an
have a
appointment.
meeting in the morning, I'm not
Okay.
sure. I could,
I'll take it.
let me,
It's actually just a few minute thing, really.
It's just a
That's a-
stone's throw for me.
Making sure they get the key.
Yep.
Yeah,
You could have them come in and get the key tomorrow, just to make sure they do get the key.
walk through.
And I tell them, if they want to drop it off during the weekend when we're closed, they can put it in the mail slot. And then, get their check or deposit later.
Let me find out if I'm going to be around. If I'm not, I'd rather not set a precedent like that, if we can.
It's not a precedent, I do it all the time.
Oh, okay.
I don't want them not, I don't want them not to have a key to the kitchen.
Yep.
Whether we do an inspection or not, they've rented that kitchen, so
Yep.
they do get to have a key.
Right. Okay. I'll leave it with you, Gail. It's been done. All right, is there anything that folks have to bring before us? Because we're going to have to wake Joyce up in a few minutes so that we can take her home.
I did go this morning to just a real brief workshop. It was like an hour and a half. So half hour down, hour and a half workshop, and then a half hour back. And it was on doing investigations. It was very timely. In fact, it's a great outline, and I'll share it with you if you ever want
Another
to do
day.
investigations. But towards the end, and they had the room so cold, everyone was freezing, and I'm like going towards the end. But I did get a lot out of it.
And you got good rest, too. I like
No,
that.
that was right. Well, when you're in a room like that, and you're like,
It's a horrible
All
feeling.
right, does anybody have anything earth-shattering that needs to be brought before us in a public session?
I have nothing earth.
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to go into non-public. Oh, no, I'm not.
Motion to adjourn?
oh, no, you don't want to know about this? That's fine.
You just said you were done.
You just said you
I
were
said I had
done.
one
He
thing.
has an attorney thing.
All right, make a
Okay,
motion.
okay.
Oh, an
Not
attorney thing.
non-public,
It's
it's
not
attorney.
non-public. Legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's legal. Yeah, just real quick.
So you can actually make a
Oh,
motion.
you still gotta turn this off, right?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.